Oh, hello. I need my hot chocolate. It's coming. Hold on. We've got legal eagle slop. Hold on.
Boiling in its own water. Like a frog boiling in its own water, America is slipping towards authoritarianism, and it may already be too late. If you've ever wondered, how could X country just let that happen? Well, congratulations. You're living in the answer. This isn't a could happen, it's happening. And contrary to popular belief, authoritarianism doesn't always arrive via dramatic military coup. Democracies can, and often do, slide into authoritarianism slowly, quietly, and procedurally. There are three obvious pillars of a slide towards authoritarianism: consolidation of force and suppression of dissent, undermining the rule of law and electoral guardrails, and patronages, purges, and the destruction of independent institutions. And in just the last few months, what have we seen? Tens of thousands of career civil servants purged from the government. Masked, unaccountable federal police deployed, answering only to Trump. An immigration crackdown escalating into effectively internment camps, torture sites, and secret renditions to war zones, ensnaring citizens and non-citizens alike. Thanks, Justice Kavanaugh. Political prosecutions of rivals, dissidents, and members of the opposition party. The destruction of the rule of law through mass pardons of his team and the shutting down of investigations into his allies. For example, the January 6th insurrectionists, corrupt Republican politicians, donors, and business associates. The invasion of blue cities and states by the National Guard and Marines.
I was talking to your mom, sorry. Imagine if at the end of this, he said, we need to lock him up. We need to lock him up. Just kidding. He would never do that. But
under the excuse of a manufactured peacetime emergency. Systematic demonization and othering of targeted groups. Immigrants and trans people blamed for every single societal problem. Ignoring court orders. Ignoring Congress by spending money that was never appropriated and refusing to spend money that was. Publicly flirting with an unconstitutional third term as president, like a coquettish little tyrant in waiting. What a scamp. Attacking, suing, and banning media outlets that dare to criticize him. And enriching himself to the tune of billions of dollars through his crypto empire, self-dealing with his own businesses, and selling access to the White House. This is the authoritarian trifecta: consolidating state power, undermining the rule of law, and unrestrained corruption. And we're not even a year into a 4-year term. If you saw this happening anywhere else in the world, you would call it the opening phase of a failed state. Political scientist Juan Linz identified 4 defining features of authoritarianism: limited political pluralism, constraints on legislatures, parties, and interest groups, legitimacy built on emotion, the leader as a necessary evil fighting societal decay, minimal political mobilization paired with the suppression of anti-regime activity, and vague, ever-expanding executive powers, undefined and shifting at will. And that describes America in 2025 with uncomfortable precision. Now, we recently released a video compiling all the crimes and corruption that Trump has committed so far, because frankly, there's been so much that even we, professional lawyers, we're starting to lose track. And I'm sure we still miss some. We made that video because normal people, even extremely intelligent ones, have a hard time grasping the full scope unless they are.
what's with the Cloudflare out on... I don't know, good question. Wait, what the fuck?
Immersed in it every single day. I was at a wedding recently talking to a friend who is an incredibly intelligent, high-powered attorney. We were making conversation about what was going on in the world, and he asked why I was so worried about this country. And when I rattled off a partial list like the one you just heard, he was aghast. Because unless you're watching the news for several hours a day, it's just impossible to keep track. It's the Mr. Burns defense. Your average American might get some of these headlines, but I guarantee that the median American voter is not privy to half of this stuff. And the information economy is in shambles. Trump has spent the last 8 years preemptively accusing everyone else of corruption, so that when he does the very thing that he projected onto others, it lands softly. Oh, this is just politics as usual, or...
True.
Well, both sides are bad, so what?
True.
But this is not politics as usual. This is the playbook of authoritarianism. And
I've said this and it might come out, I don't know how long it's going to take that Israeli dude to compile the interview, but it is very annoying that every time I talk to, I'd say like a normie, but not even a normie, like even like a relatively politically inclined person who's like kind of in the know about political stuff, when I start rattling stuff off, they don't know anything. They haven't heard of any of the things that I'm talking about. And I'm like, okay. Oh my God, not even close, guys.
Perhaps the most galling part is how little pushback there's been, even among people who are paying attention. You might remember 2015. Remember the right-wing conspiracy theory that President Obama was going to invade red states, Jade Helm 15? Well, that fever dream has essentially come...
Also, I'm assuming this is fake news. There's no way. Somebody tried to troll me, I think, in my DMs. Somebody said that yesterday Hutch was justifying that there might be some merit in giving Trump a pardon. There's no way. That was absolutely a troll, right? Hutch would never, ever do that, right?
True, except it wasn't Obama, it's actively Trump, and it's going on right now. And all those Second Amendment tyranny resistors are suddenly mysteriously silent. Even worse, Trump and his surrogates now whine that simply calling their behavior authoritarianism itself is an incitement to violence, thus justifying further crackdowns. This is the logic of a wife beater. This is gaslighting on a national scale. And early in Trump's second term, we were asking, is this a constitutional crisis? Well, yeah, it was. But the constitutional crisis is over. We lost.
Yeah.
Trial courts have fought valiantly, but the Supreme Court has repeatedly abdicated its role and handed over unprecedented power to the president. Not any president, certainly not a Democratic president, but to one president, Donald Trump. The Supreme Court will not save us. And for reasons that I cannot fathom, they seem to welcome the turn towards authoritarianism. Now, I recognize that it hasn't been seamless. There has been plenty of buffoonery. Trump exists in such a dense bubble of misinformation that I think he truly believes everyone else is as corrupt as he is. And that delusion has led him to empower some of the most incompetent loyalists alive, Lindsey Halligan, Alina Habba, and Emil Bove, who have bungled his revenge fantasies. And some of their ham-fisted schemes have exploded in their faces. And certain institutions, especially lower courts and juries, have pushed back. But the terrifying part is this. Their corrupt plans might have worked if they weren't so dumb. And eventually a more competent authoritarian will step in and finish what they started. As Professor Nicholas Grossman put it, in normal democracy terms, we're in bad shape and things are getting worse. In consolidated authoritarianism terms, we're doing pretty well as the regime is haphazard, meeting resistance and growing increasingly unpopular. And I think he's absolutely right, but I'm not confident that that will still be true 3 years from now. And look, I don't think we're beyond salvation yet. We do still have a choice. But 3 years from now, a whole lot of these bastards are going to need to go to jail. There will be enormous political pressure to just move on and pretend like this never happened.
I still need to find a better way to use this. Wait, hold on. I misheard. Wait.
As Professor Nicholas Grossman put it, in normal democracy terms, we're in bad shape and things are getting worse. In consolidated authoritarianism terms, we're doing pretty well as the regime is haphazard, meeting resistance and growing increasingly unpopular. And I think he's absolutely right, but I'm not confident that that will still be true 3 years from now. And look, I don't think we're beyond salvation yet. We do still have a choice. But 3 years from now, a whole lot of these bastards are going to need to go to jail. There will be enormous political pressure to just move on and pretend like this never happened, arguably like President Biden did after 2021. But authoritarianism...
Hey, whoever's writing this guy's script, fucking... Thank you. I feel like he got every single point in here. Hell yes.
...is like cancer. Ignore it and it spreads. Pretend it's gone and it comes back worse. And President Trump is a malignant tumor on this nation. Look, we no longer have a Republican Party and a Democratic Party. We have a democracy party and an authoritarian party.
True.
And unfortunately, electorally, there's not a lot we can do right now. But we still do have a choice. So keep pushing back. Keep protesting, keep recording, and keep talking. Yes, maybe it's time to bring politics back to the dinner table. A lot of people simply don't know the scope of what's happening because it's bad. But I believe there is still time. But just.
I'll try to find you the clip from Hutch's stream. He was reacting to your debate with Wick anyway. He doesn't think we should charge Trump or anyone in the admin. No shot. That is a troll. I don't believe that he really could take such a position. All right. I'm losing perspective on my case. I need some real, true legal analysis. This was posted 3 days ago. I haven't watched this yet. My best friend. Legal mindset. Wait. Is that the sound effect? Wait, and then his channel is... Huh.
Destiny, aka Stephen Bennell, risks felony
me.
charges and major consequences.
Felonies? Oh no!
In an ongoing civil case in regards to an interaction he had with a witness, a potential future witness.
Witness or potential future witness. Okay, all right, okay.
In Texas.
Not a potential future witness. Oh no.
We're going to get on that today on The Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney, and this is the fast facts version, the quick and dirty version of the latest in legal news. If you like this version, make sure to let me know in the comments below and let me know what you think about the topic. So, of course, you guys are familiar with the legal saga if you've been paying attention in the wake of Destiny, and now he's risking not just one felony, but multiple consequences from
multiple felonies. I'm fucked.
This interaction.
This is my best friend, Lauren De Laguna.
Hi, Lauren.
I literally am gang stalking her right now. I am gang stalking this wonderful lady.
I work here.
You work there?
I work here.
Do you have anything you would like to say to the audience?
Yeah, you're free. You're fucking here.
Okay, cool. Anything else?
She works right here, right on this corner. This 1x1 meter of sidewalk is mine.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for stalking me. You're a one-man, this is a one-man gang stalker army right now, okay? So thanks for hanging out.
That's why I need to be the host.
So really? Are we recording each other now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. How are you doing? How's life in Texas?
I'm going to my home.
Okay, be careful. Say bye. Let's run.
Why are you following me?
Because I'm bored. I gang stalk in real life.
You're fucking free. You're a pedophile.
Yeah.
Pedophile?
Yeah. Bro.
I mean Rose.
I mean,
Queen. Stay safe. Be careful.
Of course, we've got the characters here today. Destiny.
Oh, that's- oh my
once
God,
again,
that's-
his beautiful attack
why is he using the Photoshop version of me?
on Titan form here. And then we've got Miss Lauren de Laguna.
I like the picture choice. Okay. I see we have a fair and impartial judge today. Hell yes.
Who is a lawyer with Hayden Law. She's in good standing with the Florida Department of State. That's her
With Hayden Law, with her single member LLC that's currently serving, if I had to guess, I would say probably 0 clients. Okay.
business, and she works remotely in Texas, right? So as an attorney, this is something that people need to understand. If you're practiced, let's say you're licensed in Florida, like myself, like Lauren, you can go and work, you can physically be somewhere else, particularly if you're doing a lot of work that's online or it's corporate, transactional work, IP work. A lot of that stuff can be done remotely and can be done living in another state. So Lauren lives in another.
Why would you assume that that's the case here? She had a job in some fucking office and she got fired in like 6 months. She's had her law degree, or she's been bar licensed, I think, for a year, maybe? What is this assumption that she's had this time to build up any clients at all? What are you talking about?
Other state. She lives in Texas. Now, the important thing to point out here for Miss De Laguna is that she is a potential witness in the case with Pixie in Florida. So when this happened just in November in Austin, Texas, and this is a grainy version, the quality wasn't very good on the phone here, but with this, you see clearly here, Mr. Steve.
I uploaded this in 4K, so...
Stephen Bennell, this is Destiny. And you see Lauren De Laguna there. She's confirmed this was her. This interaction happened.
Legal Mindset was DMing Noel trying to get dirt on you. Wait, what? Show me that. Show me that in a stream. Dude, I feel... I shouldn't say this, but... I feel bad for Noel. Bro. I think he... Oh, yeah, he said he unwatched my thread because he couldn't handle it anymore because my... People in my thread are fucking loonies. And now he's going to stop reading about me? My good friend Josh?
And this encounter happened in Austin, Texas. Now, if you don't know, and a very important factor here is that Lauren lives in Texas, right? So, and Destiny lives in Florida. So this encounter happened at a place in which Destiny does not normally live or reside. He's normally not hanging out in Texas, right? And Lauren...
Really? Never? I mean, I guess what are the chances that somebody in the streaming world would ever be in Austin, Texas? Probably not. I guess probably not that high. Yeah. Yeah, true. Okay.
Actually works nearby where this location was happening, where this interaction was happening. Now,
works nearby? I thought first of all, I thought you said she worked remotely as a lawyer. I guess she's moonlighting. She does 2 jobs. She has her private law firm that she opened in September, 2 months ago. And then she also works locally. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
we're going to get into this when we get into defenses, but obviously this looks really, really bad on its face. When you watch the video and you go through it, it looks like Destiny is stalking her, is encountering her. Now, Destiny's supporters and Destiny's defense is, no, she encountered him. She came up to him. Of course, at this point, that's a he said, she said, based on just that particular double statement. Obviously, Destiny saying she approached, him saying he approached. But what we do have in this encounter is an extended encounter in which Destiny continues to record. He does not disengage from this. He uses the, sarcasm.
I have no obligation to disengage, sir. It is a public sidewalk. I can stand here and publicly record. Why on earth would I have an obligation to disengage? She's recording me as well. You can see her phone out.
Sarcastically, he says, I'm gang stalking you, in a tone that he's going to say is sarcastic or being sarcastic. But at the root of this, Destiny has a massive online community. And at a certain point, when you engage with someone and you have a massive community and you're saying, hey, look, this is a witness that is against me. I'm now telling you and showing you visibly where they are. I'm giving you video evidence of where they are. You can look around. All the people on the internet, the Tylenol Americans, can go look at the background and figure out, okay, this is the general area. And that opens up Lauren, who doesn't have a large community and she doesn't have people that are fervently after them, to, stalk her, to harass her, etc. So it's a huge potential issue.
Fuck. I didn't consider that we might be using the Twitter arguments of, Your Honor, he has a large online community. I don't remember what federal rules of civil procedure is when one person has a large online community, they're not allowed to record a video anymore. I forgot about that rule. I thought we were in federal fucking court with real rules and a real judge and where we have to submit real evidence. I forgot about Twitter rules. Fuck. Okay. He's got me on there. Okay.
So Lauren De Laguna is a subpoena witness in Destiny's existing revenge, we'll call it prawn case.
Did your lawyer say anything about this encounter? No. She fucking ran up to me and my other friend, LS, she ran up to us in real life and with her fucking phone out started screaming at us. Like if it truly came down to like a hearing or a court appearance, I would have her as a witness. I'd have the guy at the front of the bar as a witness who recognized her and asked me how the fuck I even knew her. And then I would have the other dude that stepped out and started talking to me because people recognized me. She would get. There's a reason why nothing will ever be. Nothing is going to come of this other than Lauren stirring shit up online. But no, she literally ran up to us and started screaming. It's like, the fuck. Why didn't Lauren record this Ellis person? I'm sure she did. My guess is she was probably trying to get either of us to say something crazy or stupid, but I don't know.
Right, I like prawns, but not revenge prawn. So this is the case with Pixie, obviously, and Destiny is very aware of the fact that Lauren De Laguna is a witness. He is not unaware of that. So that awareness goes deep into, okay, is this potentially criminal? Because we're going to need to form intent. And part of that intent there is, hey, do you know this person's a witness? Destiny is in full knowledge of who Lauren is. He's very, very familiar with them. They have an interpersonal relationship, right? And once again, this isn't about their past history, their romantic history. This is about the law. And the law says, hey, once somebody is...
As far as the court is concerned, Lauren is just a random person, right? Lauren De Laguna? Yes. She's just been somebody who's subpoenaed for information, which will come out, but it's not really related to this court case. But it kind of is, but not really. But that'll be later on.
A witness, you cannot treat them like you would treat anybody else. You can't just treat them like a random McDonald's worker.
So, again, for real big boy court cases, for if you want to act like a real human being, okay, you cannot file a case in federal court and then use some weird federal shield to run around and play social media games and harass people. That's just not how these things are supposed to work. It's not how people ordinarily use them. And nobody's going to take this seriously in terms of, what, am I going to get sanctioned? Forget sanctions. This guy's saying I'm going to get a felony charge? Like, I'm sorry, but you can't be involved in a court case and then weaponize that to run up and start recording me and screaming at people I'm with. At 3:30. Wait, hold on.
Mark. Legal Mindset came after Ricada became really popular. He initially started his channel talking a lot about VTuber drama, if I remember correctly. He's an expat living in like Thailand or Vietnam or something, I think Korea even, and he's got a wonky eye. He actually sent me a message, and I didn't know who it was, so I was confused, but he sent me a message asking about Destiny, which was strange to me. I didn't respond because I didn't know who he was on my signal. But by the way, the Destiny lawsuit is going horrifically for Pixie. And if she loses, that's expected at this point because her lawyers are apparently incompetent.
Okay. I didn't know he sent that message long ago. Yeah. Listen, me and Noel have no problems interpersonally, okay? That's it.
On the street who's not subpoenaed. The rights and the responsibilities are different. So the most important thing here, and what I think is really turned this into a topic I would cover and not just something that was a he said, she said, is Lauren has filed a police report. Texas does not mess around when it comes to following up on police reports. And even this police report may trigger the DOJ, the federal investigators on this, because this case is at a federal level with...
Number one, people don't seem to understand this, okay? Number one, anybody can file a police report for anything. It's like a civil lawsuit. I could call the cops right now and make a complaint and file a police report. All that does is it creates a police report. If there's something that's like actionable, where they feel like there's a pressing need to go and investigate something or ask somebody questions, or if stuff is filed in the future, right? Then you have like a paper trail or whatever. That's it. Anybody can file a police report for anything. It doesn't speak at all to the validity of any claims or statements. Also, the idea that the Department of Justice would pick up a case based on a police report of somebody stalking somebody? It's hard to get them to pick up anything unless you're talking like multiple rape crazy shit. Like the idea that they're, oh my God, hold on. We just got a call from is it the Southern District of Texas? I don't even know what district it would be for Austin. We think that we have a police report that there might be a witness stalking going on. We need to take this case up immediately. What? This is fucking retarded.
Pixie and the OJ, the federal investigators on this, because this case is at a federal level with Pixie, and the ramifications are interstate, right? They cross over into Florida, so this gives federal jurisdiction clearly to investigate this. And there are legal consequences if Lauren was to lie. I often don't cover things until there's a police report, because a lot of times if you just put up some Google Doc on the internet, anybody can do that. Anybody can just make a photo or maybe doc.
Anybody can just make a police statement. Even if you lie, you shouldn't. You could get in trouble for lying, but remember, this is a matter of like time and resources. Like, are they going to come after you for every single bad police report? Like, keep in mind that today in the United States, most people get away with fucking swatting, which in my mind, not to be dramatic, but I would argue is like basically a form of attempted murder, or as close as you can get to it. People get away with swatting people. There's no world where the DOJ is following up. Even the local prosecution is never following up on shit. It's just so fucking stupid. Especially because, and I'm trying to think I don't even know if this guy's done litigation or any criminal law, but I would say especially because, not to be a not to be too much of a bootlicker here, okay, not to show my pro cop, my aunt side or whatever. Cops, we see the worst of them on YouTube, but generally speaking, cops have like an okay, like bullshit detector. When you call in and you're making a report, cops gonna ask you questions and they'll generally like, okay, this is kind of fucking retarded. This is kind of actually some real ass shit, you know. Generally they'll figure this out. Generally, not in all cases, and some cops are pieces of shit, but just this whole thing is just, I wasn't going to talk about this until there was some proof, but then when she filed a police report, it's like, okay.
If you just put up some Google Doc on the internet, anybody can do that. Anybody can just make a photo or, you know, maybe doctor evidence or do whatever else without filing that police report. But once you file that police report, there is something that can be held against you. And for all of those who may not know, I know a lot of you remember him. Let's just remind you of Juicy Smooth, Jussie Smollett over here, who suffered consequences for a false police report claiming he was beat up by MAGA. Funny enough, there was actually an incident recently about a woman who faked a attack.
So he didn't just make a false police report. Didn't he call, one, he called 911, I believe, and two, he literally fabricated an entire hate crime out of whole cloth. And then three, was getting a ton of media attention about it as well. All of these factors played heavily against him in court. The idea that it was just a bad police report, there was way more than that.
Just now in Trump's second term, cutting herself, having a fetish artist, I believe, cut her up with razors and pretend she was attacked. These sorts of things, when you file a police report, when you fake it like Smollett faked it, you can face real consequences, and you should. We should not have people and incentivize them to be filing fake police reports.
Like, honest to God, here's like the easiest way that you could just cook the fuck out of me. Like, I'm so buried right now because I know for a fact the only reason I pulled my phone out is because Lauren De Laguna was recording immediately. That's why LS, the other person, that's why she ran, because she's like, I don't know why the fuck this crazy person ran up and started recording us. Lauren De Laguna could just release the footage. Just show her phone with me stalking her, with me running up to her, with me and the other person, you know, approaching. Just do that, and then I'm cooked. Because she was recording the entire fucking time. She has way more footage of this than I do. And that's it. And then I'm cooked completely. Dump it. Why not? I know she was recording for multiple minutes because she ran down and tried to talk to the other person that was with me, and then I eventually ran down to see what the fuck was going on, and yeah, just release it. Why not? She's got all the footage on her phone.
So to the extent Lauren De Laguna lies on her police report, she now has consequences. So I have to take it with a level of seriousness that is more than just an empty online accusation.
Then why not ask Lauren for the video to review privately?
This isn't just somebody angry tweet.
Do you think this guy's actually schizo or just an unhinged hater? Well, it's really hard with this guy because I think he is kind of an unhinged hater, but he's also posted stuff that has like reeked of manic, like some kind of mania. This was a while ago. It was a Fast Facts one. I don't know if he still has it up or not, but oof, it was weird. Was it this one? No. It was after this. He talked about how he thought, because there were a few women I think it was just a few like white women in Thailand, and he was saying that they were stalking him from America and were sent by, was it like the CIA or just the US? Or no, it was Antifa. I thought, that was weird. People are saying he deleted that video. Yeah, because he was saying Antifa was coming after him across the ocean.
I have to take it with a level of seriousness that is more than just an empty online accusation. This isn't just somebody angry tweeting. This is somebody that's actually gone through and followed up on what they said. So let's talk about the legal consequences for Destiny here if he was found to be engaging in this, because once again, as a party in a lawsuit, you have different responsibilities to the witnesses. You are not just like a random person on the street. So the first thing, and we'll talk about the federal crimes, the state crimes, and the civil kind of consequences for his ongoing case. And there's a lot here, guys. So if you see 18 USC section 1512, we've got all of these crimes under various subsections. The first is intimidation and corrupt persuasion. So knowingly, and once again, he knew she's a witness, right? Intimidating, threatening, or persuading a witness or attempting to influence testimony. So here's the thing. Was the behavior he was engaging in by Destiny going up, approaching her, or whether he was approached, whatever, but by filming that, by engaging in this, by talking about gang stalking, by publishing this to his very activist community, a community that we have all the evidence for, the online community, is a clear testament to the fact that they will go out and do things on Destiny's behalf.
Go out and do things?
They'll do things online. They'll harass you online. And some people are...
Will go out and do things or harass you online? Those are two very different implications. Harass you online is like, I get some mean DMs. Go out and do things is like they're going to find you in real life and kill you. Or worse.
Unhinged enough in Destiny's community to actually go out there in person. In fact, we have some evidence that people were planning to harass Lauren in person.
What's the evidence of this?
Not just Destiny, but part of the community, part of the DGG, Destiny's community. So that actually...
Are we going to see that evidence or what? Hello?
Is a material factor here. And then you've got, what's the punishment for that? Well, the punishment for intimidation under the federal statute is a unlimited fine, so the judge can fine them as much as they want, and then up to 20 years in prison. So
not 20 years in prison. I'd probably only get half that though, right? 10 years maybe?
It's a serious felony level offense. Then you've got corrupt tampering with evidence, so altering, destroying, or concealing evidence or preventing its production. So to the extent that this might be trying to cause Lauren to destroy, conceal, or cover something up that might be trying to influence her, could be under that, once again, a fine of up to 20 years and
Was I saying that? Was I doing that? Was I talking about that?
harassment. So even if there was no intent, this is the one I want to really throw out here because you don't need intent on this. Now, this would be a misdemeanor, it wouldn't be a felony, but even if there's no intent, he could get harassment. He could be caught with harassing a witness even without intent for a fine and up to 1 year in prison. So he's risking real prison harassment. He could be
Without intent to what? Maybe without intent to intimidate or corrupt, but it still has to be willful harassment. I'm sorry, how is me standing somewhere with a person who's literally a one-man gang stalker army recording us? How is that willful harassment? What? Hello?
be caught with harassing a witness even without intent for a fine and up to 1 year in prison. So he's risking real prison time, real time behind bars here at a federal level because, once again, this case going on in Florida, this action happened in Texas, you've got interstate there, you've got federal statutes coming in, all of this is going to apply. Then you've got the state crimes in Texas, once again, not a lenient criminal state, Texas, not one you want to go and commit a bunch of crimes in. You've got tampering with a witness, which is section 3605 of the Texas Code.
Is Lauren a witness? She's a deponent, which might be a type of witness. I'm not actually 100% sure on that, but technically she's not going to testify at the trial or anything that gets that far. And I doubt any of what she submits is going to be that relevant, but
coercing or
mainly
intimidating.
because she's not fucking submitting anything because Pixie and her whole side haven't given me any discovery at all ever, which really makes me wonder, which is kind of weird that I feel like I haven't gotten anything. Kind of feels like there might be a lot of stuff that they're hiding.
A witness or prospective witness with the intent to influence. So once again, you do have to have some intent to influence them, but looking at what is the possible outcome of coming up, of filming her, showing where she works, yeah, that could be a thing. Now, there's various classifications here. It could be anywhere between 2 years to 10 years in prison as a felony and up to a $10,000 fine, $10,000 fine. Then you've got harassment. So
Bro, how many people are going to kill themselves once this case is done with? Like, are there really people that are convincing themselves that I'm going to like federal felony level prison shit? Like that I'm going to get like 10 plus years, that I'm going to jail at all? That this is even like part of the conversation? Like, I'm seriously, how many people have like indexed on this? Like, oh God, thank God. Once this is over, he's looking at 20 to life.
communicating in a manner intended to harass, annoy, or alarm. So publishing a video has been intended as communicating. So publishing a video in a manner intended to harass, annoy, or alarm, that can be a misdemeanor or a felony. It depends on how they escalate it. And there's 2 years maximum on that if it goes up to the felony level. So once again, state level, not looking good either. Now there's more time, up to 20 years on the federal level, but the state is not looking bad either. There's also consequences in his ongoing civil trial. So in the trial with Pixie, the judge himself can come down and do these things. First of all, sanctions and penalties. I'll get into that on the next page because they're kind of detailed. The next one is introduction as evidence of a pattern of intent. So what this could look at is the judge could say in the Pixie case, this shows that Destiny has a pattern of bad behavior, of intentional behavior here to influence people in a negative way and introduce that to a jury. And that could be fully permissible.
The judge would do that, would introduce that to a jury. One of the parties would have to file a motion for this to bring this to the attention of the judge. The judge is not watching YouTube. I don't think the judge is allowed to file motions in a case generally. Now, maybe he just means that the judge would like approve it or issue an order or something related to it, but
as a pattern of behavior, saying this is something that he does this as a pattern, right? Once again, I've talked about this. Destiny exhibits many narcissistic traits and saying, hey, this is part of this pattern of kind of narcissistic abuse.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to get the NPD analysis. I'm going to get the psychoanalysis from the judge. The judge is sitting there. So I just finished reading the Mr. Girl report.
He kind of exacts on people, and he'll go in and he'll delete messages. He'll do whatever to make himself look better, or delete evidence of his, kind of narcissistic traits, and saying, hey, this is part of this pattern of kind of narcissistic abuse that he kind of exacts on people. And he'll go in and he'll delete messages. He'll do whatever to make himself look better, or delete evidence of his, kind of love bombing and gaslighting, and then come in and look like he.
What? I understand. Wait, does anybody else understand? I just understood. Sorry. Oh, I know. Well, I don't know, but I know from other things. Lauren is talking to him a lot. That's what's happening. He's just repeating everything that, Lauren told him. Lauren has approached at least 10 different people behind the scenes, trying to influence or dictate to them things to say about me, by the way. In case you were wondering where that Amy Dangerfield video on YouTube came from, yeah. This is, we'll get into this after my thing is done. Hopefully at the end of this year if we're lucky, but that's what this is coming from, because in Lauren's mind, she has to sell to the public that we dated for 9 months. And the reason why the DMs look so bad on one side is because I love bombed her and gaslit her, but then I deleted some of my DMs before posting all of our DMs or whatever. Yeah, that's what he's repeating right now from Lauren De Laguna.
messages. He'll do whatever to make himself look better or delete evidence of his, kind of love bombing and gaslighting, and then come in and look like he's innocent, look like he's done nothing wrong. Beyond that, and I've talked about this with the Emeru case, with Miskiff, is IIED, intentional infliction of emotional distress, a very strong civil claim, and invasion of privacy. These are things that Lauren De Laguna could bring in, and she could bring those in, even on that case or on a separate case, and say, hey, listen, you are invading my privacy and you're causing emotional distress. And I think that's something that is potentially feasible under the law. Let's talk about some of the sanctions. These are real fun. So the federal court has really broad...
Potential infliction of emotional distress or whatever is a civil cause of action. Lauren is not a party to our case. Are you saying that she would file a whole separate case against me?
authority, super broad authority under Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 11 for frivolous conduct, Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 37 for discovery abuses, and its inherent powers, the inherent powers of the court, the power to sanction parties for misconduct. So they can issue monetary penalties, which could be payable to the court or to Ms. De Laguna. Also, they could say adverse inferences. So saying, once again, they can assume Destiny's bad intent through his pattern of behavior, etc. They can give the jury an adverse instruction because of this bad behavior by Destiny. They can also strike his defenses. Now, this is very extreme, but Destiny has some counterclaims. And they can say, you know what, Destiny, you have behaved so badly.
I don't know all the civil procedure rules, obviously. Of what I know, though, adverse inference and striking defenses, I thought this had to do with, well, no, actually, no, never mind. It could apply here. So, like, for instance, let's say that there is let's say that there's a whole bunch of text messages between me and another person, and let's say that all of my side is deleted. And the other person says, well, I was going to save these, but he deleted everything after he was on notice for a lawsuit. He told me in these messages that he was going to find me and kill my whole family and kill my dogs, everything else. And let's say that we go back and forth on this and I can't reproduce the original text messages. The judge might, as part of a sanction against me, when the court case goes forward, the judge might say, well, we're going to let the jury read into that as they might, that's, if the plaintiff can present, a compelling case, the jury's allowed to read your lack of evidence there as unfavorable to you. Not that like it can't be submitted, but they can read that as though you were hiding something. So if you're doing bad stuff with evidence, then that's the adverse inference from the lack of evidence there. Or striking defenses, but that's with evidence tampering or obscuring or whatever. But I guess you could argue that witness tampering is part of that. So like if let's say somebody was going to be the lead witness, and then let's say that I found that person, and I don't even know what that would look like, actually. I'm not sure. But they decide not to testify. Maybe a jury could look into that unfavorably. Maybe that would be like an adverse inference. Maybe, yeah.
You are so bad that we're just going to remove those. Now, that's extreme. I don't think they're going to go there yet, but it's possible, ladies and gentlemen. You also have contempt of court. We've talked a lot about that. That's a broad power they can exercise. Elevated punitive damages. So let's say Pixie was to win, they could issue harsher punitives because punitive damages are meant to stop harm to others. And the judge could look at that and say, hey, look, listen, if this isn't stopped with Pixie, other people are going to be suffering this thing under Destiny as well. He's going to go out and repeat this pattern of behavior. He's going to go out and do this again to other women, to other people. Once again, women and men, I don't think Destiny makes much of a difference there with either one of them. So other men and women are going to be hurt by this when he engages in romantic and or deviant relationships with them.
True.
Also, there could be a permanent no contact order issued from Ms. De Laguna that she could obtain from the court.
Please, I have no problem with that. I would co-sign it. I don't know if you can do that. If she wants to do like no contact or some kind of restraining order, I'd be fucking A-okay. Actually, I'd have to look at it to see if it looks bad on me if I have a restraining order issued against me. But I don't want this crazy fucking lunatic stalking me, talking about me, talking to all of my friends about me, talking to all these other content creators about me. She does this like, I don't know how she has so much time. This is the only reason I'm so confident that she isn't carrying any clients in Florida, because there's no way she would have the time to do it. She spends so much time talking to people. It's insane.
There could also be a mandate to delete all related content. So it's saying, hey, Destiny, you've got to...
Maybe I'm being retarded, but have you ever considered suing people like Legal Mindset, or is there no case there? This feels like defamation, especially because he's a lawyer. Well, I mean, like he could reasonably just be an idiot and think these things. I would have to prove like a malicious intent, actual malice or whatever. I'd have to prove that he was knowingly lying about these things at the time. And I don't know what the bar for that is quite high. And it's a lot of money in cases, and listen, I'm done. After this, my legal adventures are over, okay?
De Laguna that she could obtain from the court.
Well, one more. Master, I have to go all out one more time after this one.
There could also be a mandate to delete all related content. So it's saying, hey, Destiny, you've got to delete that video. You've got to go in there and delete that because that is harassment, and that is leading your community even to harass. I believe the damage is already done nowadays because things just go up so quickly. But I think it would be a step to show the court does not approve of what he does and make him actually come back and behave. Because listen, if there's anything with Destiny, he's not going to listen to people on the internet. He's not going to...
The funny thing is that what the court doesn't like is when you play stupid fucking games and waste the court's fucking time. It's so annoying that like... It's just a game to these people, I guess. It's annoying to me on a personal level, obviously, reputationally, psychologically, monetarily, but it's also an annoyance to the federal court system. You're clogging up the docket, you're wasting time of a federal judge that could be looking at a real case otherwise, and you're playing games with all these protected statuses, trying to use the court to shield you from public accountability when you're engaged in weird harassment campaigns. And the funny thing is, if he would have just read anything that the judge has written about my case, he would see that more or less the judge is saying that, right? There were a billion different people saying, oh, yes, he's talking about his case, he's screwing himself over, blah, blah, blah. But it was Pixie's public statements about how she wanted to hold me accountable and she wanted to financially punish me that hurt her when she got ruled against for her preliminary injunction. This idea that I'm doing something wrong or bad when these other people are acting like lunatics is just unhinged. It's crazy.
Listen to people that are trying to advise them, even give them good advice. The only thing Destiny's going to listen to is the cold, hard consequences of the law. So let's talk about his defenses. The she approached me defense. He claims, of course, self-protection. The recording was in self-protection.
Well, yeah, but that's not a legal defense. That's just why I started recording.
The presumptions are against Destiny here, though, because let's even take that at face value and say that she did approach him. First of all, you're not a Texas resident. What were you doing there in the first place? Maybe, let's put it out this way. He was walking around in that area and she approached him, but did he happen to just stumble upon the place where she works?
It's 6th Street. And what was I doing there? God damn it. What was it? I don't even know what was it this? If only there was a huge fucking political event that was going on. If only there was a massive political event that was going on over the weekend where this happened, that would have been a reason why I might have been there. And then why would he have been on literally the most popular street in the entire state of Texas? I wonder. Nah, no shot. Must have been a coincidence, I guess.
He was walking around in that area and she approached him, but did he happen to just stumble upon the place where she works, where her workplace is? Was that just really random coinky-dink that he just ended up in a place where she works? That's questionable. There's also
what?
A large activist community, which, as I've mentioned, is against Miss De Laguna, does not like her, and they've been known to go out and do unhinged things, right? They might be trying to swat her, they might be trying to chase her, stalk her, who knows, with some unhinged people in the DGG. The other argument, this one I heard, was, it's a street, bro, it's a street. Yes, if you're just two random people on the street and you happen to run into somebody on the street, yes, that is just a street encounter, and as long as you move on, right, you move on quickly, there isn't necessarily a problem there. Here's the issue. This is a witness. Witness can't be harassed anywhere. It doesn't make it okay to harass a witness in the street. It doesn't matter if you're in McDonald's, it doesn't matter if you're on your car, it doesn't matter where you are. You can't, there's no exception. The law doesn't say you can harass a witness. You can't harass a witness unless it's on the street, right?
Again, she's told you so much, legal mindset, and I know how fucking pathetic you are. I know that you've only fucked women that can't speak English, that you've lured or trapped in your little weird fucking web of methamphetamine-induced lunacy overseas. And I know that Lauren De Laguna might be the first white woman in a decade that's given you attention, and you're captivated by her and her big boobies, and you miss it so much, and that's great. And I'm glad that she spun her little web of lies for you, but all you would have to do I need that. Bury me. No, I don't. I would never use that. All you have to do is ask her for the video. She was recording the whole time. Ask her for the video from the start. Send me the video. Especially because she was recording. If I approached her, she should have it. It should be so easy, right?
No, you can't harass them anywhere, period. So that it's a street, bro, doesn't really work. Also, the engagement was extended beyond necessary. He did not need to stay in that and stay on that as long as possible.
She didn't need to stay there. She's the one that left at the end. She could have left at any time. I'm not holding her there. I'm standing on one of the most popular intersections in the entire state of Texas. I think we're like a block from the mothership. If anybody's down there, I think we were going to go to that, I think the bar was called like the Shakespeare or whatever. And then we moved to some, but this is it's literally, it might have been the most popular corner in the entire state of Texas. Maybe. But literally, she could just walk away. She doesn't have to stand there at all. Why is she sitting there talking to me, recording me? I'm not chasing her. I'm not following her.
If he wanted to record it for his own safety, he could have recorded it and walked away and not talked about references of gang stalking and not made a reference that she works around there.
Ooh, I wonder if he's personally upset by the gang stalking thing, since he's schizo a little bit.
Pushed her, right, and made that accusation that she is the stalker, and therefore she responded, she works there. He kind of baited that out of her. Therefore, now the whole community knows that and can come harass her.
I baited that? How am I baiting? Oh, she can just walk away. Why is she running up to me screaming at me?
So I think that burden is there. Also, saying Lauren is lying and calling her a liar, well, she filed a police report. Did Destiny file a police report? No, he did not. So
I didn't file a police report because she didn't do anything illegal. She's just a fucking weirdo. Why would I file a police report because somebody walks up to me and starts shouting at me? What do you want me to? Why the fuck would I file a police report on that? I don't think she did anything illegal. She's just a fucking weirdo. What?
Once again, I tend to believe the person with legal consequences behind them, not the person who has nothing on their side to prove it because they haven't actually filed a police report. If Destiny is really serious that it was Lauren who came up and harassed him, file a police report in Texas, Destiny, because
I don't have any evidence. Well, I guess actually that's true. I could get the guy outside the bar, and I could get the other L that was with me. What would be the point, though? Like, I feel like if I filed this police report, that even if I brought 2 witnesses with me, they'd be like, okay, well, thanks, Sonny. We'll keep our eyes out for, like, what, do you think the Texas Rangers are gonna pull up to her, to the, whatever, I don't even know where the fuck she works. I guess on 6th Street. She's just in the street. Are you just gonna pull up to her and we need to have some questions, okay? Did you approach this man on the street with your phone and record? You're facing, this is a class X misdemeanor. You could pay a $500 fine. God damn it.
And you should be the one filing the police report, right? That's her harassing you. That's her stalking you. Go file the police report. Well, he hasn't done that. So therefore, the presumption remains in Lauren's favor. So in conclusion, Destiny is just continuing to dig himself deeper in this case. You know, Pixie's attorneys aren't the best. I would say my assessment is they're kind of weak in terms of their power. Of course, once again, she's not got unlimited money. A lot of them are doing the work for discount or pro bono, I believe.
You have no idea. You don't know any of that. You're just talking out your ass. But you do for everything, right? Fuck, man. I will. Listen, someday I will go to law school, okay? Because apparently these degrees are a dime a dozen.
In terms
I don't like this. I see this argument, and I'll bring this up at the end of the case. But this idea of like, well, it's because she has bad attorneys. That's why everything's going so poorly for her. She has bad attorneys because no good attorney would have taken her case because it's a bullshit case from the beginning. That's why 2 law firms shot her down initially, or at least that's what the public text messages that I've seen on President Sunday and that other guy, those are the text messages I've seen publicly. I don't know, privately. Maybe she never said that because I still have no discovery from her. I still have nothing of relevance of any of the conversations I've asked for. So who knows? Maybe that never happened. Maybe those were hallucinations and they were all faked. Since apparently Pixie's too busy tweeting all day to actually, give me any of the documents I've requested, but.
To their power, of course, once again, she's not got unlimited money. A lot of them are doing the work for discount or pro bono, I believe. But Destiny is already in trouble. He's already got the issue with what's on his computer and that stuff that came up. And this is only adding to it. Adding on with this public incident was not necessary for Destiny. But as I've said before, he just can't help himself. And Destiny, based on this incident, at a minimum, will be investigated. Probably by the DOJ, the feds, likely, very likely,
What, by Interpol as well? Who else? L is on the case. Like, what?
At a minimum, will be investigated. Probably by the DOJ, the feds, likely, very likely, the Texas is going to go hard on him, even harder than the DOJ. But we'll see. They both might go very hard on him. But he's going to be investigated for these multitude of potential crimes. Guys, what do you think about this? What do you think is going to happen with Destiny in this case? I will catch you on the next one.
Aren't you supposed to have access to Discovery? Yeah, you are. Crazy, huh? Kind of weird how that works. Who's going to take over? Mr. Mooten? He can do a stream with Nathan while I'm in prison for 10 to 20 years. Is there any actual risk for her if she just doesn't give you any of your discovery requests? Like, do you have to prove she has that info? Well, I mean, it's just whatever they can do to drag things out longer, right? I doubt that we can do anything bad against them until after the discovery deadlines are over. So December 16th is, I imagine, is when we're gonna start filing stuff related to that. But I mean, like, they know they're gonna lose this case anyway. So it's not like they're worried about adverse inferences. It's not like they're worried about doing things to hurt the validity of their case. They know that they know they have no case, and they know that it doesn't matter anyway. So it's whatever they can do to push things out as much as possible. On the whole discovery thing, will you ever get the stuff you want from her? No, I don't think so. I think there's a reason why she doesn't want to turn anything over. It's because it probably shows a whole bunch of malicious conduct by her behind the scenes. She probably knows it, so she doesn't want to give me anything. And she's not going to, because it's her case, and they'll dismiss it when they're done, or they'll drag it out until they can dismiss it. And then she'll just frolic along with her life, as all white women do. What did she turn over so far? I can't speak with specificity to what was turned over because the discovery stuff is governed by a confidentiality agreement, I think, like their protection order. But like, of all the stuff she turned over, basically all of it is just like messages from a shared group chat that we were in with 6 other people. There was a group chat that we had for me and like 5 other people that all lived in Miami. And then every single message they put in an individual document. So like in one of their filings, they say like, we turned over 3,000 documents to the defense. Of those 3,000, like 2,800 of them are just messages from that group chat, which I don't even think I asked for, but it's cute. Good waste of time. Good memes.
dumb.
Yeah, that's...
Came through dripping. Came through dripping. Diamonds on my wrist, they tripping.
A Boost Mobile expert really delivered and set up my new phone while I'm on the job.
Everything is set up and running for you.
You made this whole switching thing easy. Just don't touch anything.
Oh, hello.
Introducing Store to Door. Switch and get a new device with expert setup and delivery. Wherever you're at,
She's
visit
there
Boost
because
Mobile.
Lauren Taylor gonna go with her.
Can we stop for food?
No, hay comida en la casa.
Fine, and those people are enemies to my... Stop. Fuck. Country! That... Have you thought to ask for cryptographic verification for each message? Shut the fuck up, but true. Wait. Have you ever considered that disliking Mediterranean food should be illegal? True. My face when I cut up some tasteless salad, add some tasteless, random, flavorless vegetables, throw some burnt chicken into it. Mediterranean food. Oh, so good. Hold on. I was reeling this morning. I saw a good one. Wait, was it this one? No. Cringe. Wait. Oh no. This is Pixar's next movie, guys.
Excuse me, would you like to join our meeting tonight?
What the hell? Is this a joke? This is unbelievable.
This is certainly no joke, mister. We as a community have to come together and do something against these animals. Are you alright, sir?
Yeah, are you like blind?
Yes, I am. Why? Are you
What? No. But like, what's your issue with them? Just wondering.
My issue with those big lips. Fufu munching, banana peeling, chicken swallowing, watermelon devouring monkeys. Think of any problem in the world, mister. Crime, hunger, segregation, anything at all. No matter what, it will be fixed once we get rid of those people. Don't you think?
Nah, sure. You might have a point, I guess.
That doesn't sound very truthful at all, mister.
No, really. Like, those n****s.
Yes, that's the spirit. I knew you're a smart guy. I could totally see us two together. Like, if you're interested, I could give you my number. Hello? You still there?
Coon.
Excuse me.
Unbelievable. Okay, sorry. That was my good poll today. Wasn't me in position, but
They're dumb.
gun fanatics. Wait, what is this? These look awesome. Wait. Is oh, Helsing. Oh, I was thinking does he have like a fucking squared gun thing, or is it that one guy? Is it a different guy? No, he doesn't. Oh no, he does. My animes. Shh, don't listen to what he says. It's cringe. Stop! Okay, I don't remember. Don't remember, don't care. Does anybody have a picture? Apparently I missed, there was an epic Reddit thread that I see other subreddits referencing. I don't know what this was. Somebody linked this in chat. But somebody Some guy apparently posted, how can I get my girlfriend to understand that like a box fell on me tonight so she doesn't think I was cheating? And it's like, apparently on his neck, the picture is like very obviously a picture of a hickey. I'm just curious what the original, people say that. I'm curious what the original picture looked like. I saw that. Where's the, somebody linked the thread, but there was, it was deleted already. And I too lazy to use the other remove Reddit links or whatever. It was on my phone. Using that thread to convince his GF? Did you see the r/art drama? No. What was the art drama? All the mods quit. Why is my chat being weird today? I had trouble loading it on my phone too. Oh, okay. r/art drama. You want to know a thing? I realized this in the past, and I even bullshitted myself into believing this. And I think I even gave this advice, but it was always bullshit. Every time you had weird issues come up with your internet, and no one actually knew what was going on, who knows what the equivalent to just restart it or turn it off and on again? Does anybody know what the equivalent advice to that is when it comes to internet? Yes. It's your DNS, bro. How does that make sense? What does that even mean? The page is lagging. I'm connected. I'm not trying to translate a word to an IP. How is it the DNS, bro? It's just DNS, bro. You got to reset. Are you using Google? Are you using Google DNS? Are you using your default? Oh shit, you got to try. Did you try IPconfig/? Did you try Flush DNS? Did you try that, bro? Like maybe that'll. Oh, sometimes you got to like. Oh my god. But I would even say it to people, and I would even mindfuck myself sometimes into doing it. It must be my DNS. That's why my ping is so high. Oh my god. Try changing to the Google DNS, bro. Try using a different. Oh, it's because you're using your ISP's DNS. You know, it's not that. Okay. While you're on the site, unban me. I donated last night, bro. You are schizo. Okay, you are quarantined to Kick Chat for now until you get medicated. I'm sorry. Art mod permanently banned artist for breaking a rule. Artist apologizes. Mod then deletes their post history and causes the artist to be temporarily banned. Subreddit is locked down. Have you seen the National Guard shooter? Wait, is this a troll? Is this Mr. Mohammed Boutin? This is a troll. You edited this. Not funny. That guy's a murderer. Oh, hold on. We got Charlie covered it.
In life, there are few things in life as pathetic as being a proud Reddit moderator. It's a position that attracts the most insufferable hoity-toity dweebs like moths to a flame, and it bestows upon them the tiniest sliver of power, just barely above like a middle school hall monitor, and somehow that immediately goes to their heads and corrupts their already ugly soul, leading to the most embarrassing meltdowns and just outrageous power trips over nothing. And this is a stereotype that's existed for a while.
Oh my god, I just thought of the most Kino fucking shit in the world. Fuck, this would be so fucking Kino. And I bet the guy would do it because he seems like a funny, cool dude. I think he gives interviews and stuff. Somebody needs to go find Zimbardo, okay? Not the guy from, this is not Bronn from Game of Thrones, okay? Somebody needs to find this guy, and they need to rerun the Stanford prison experiment, but with online moderators. Find an online community, make 10 of them randomly, you know, Jannies, give them powers, give them arbitrary rules. Wait, he died? Whoa. No. He was only 91. Damn, he was like 85 in this picture? It was pretty good for 85, 86, no? Bro, these These boomers are never dying. We need the homes back. We need the homes back. They're like fucking... They're like Google Chrome with memory. We need it back. We have to kill the process. We need the memory. We need it back, okay? The RAM is too expensive. We need those homes. We need those homes. Just kidding. I love the boomers. Okay. How do you die? Zimbardo died at home in San Francisco on October 14th, 2024 at the age of 91. His wife, Christina Moslock, why didn't she take his last name? And their children were by his side when he died. How much investigation do they do when you've got old people that are sick and dying that die? Like, let's say, you know, that movie Hostel, where you can pay to murder American trafficked people or whatever, or maybe any people, I don't know if they have to be American or not. Could you theoretically like have that service? Like, I'm going to find some old people in hospice and you can go and like chainsaw this person or beat the shit out because they're about to die anyway. So the hospital like won't investigate it or whatever. Do you think you do that? Can you stop saying the N-word, please? I would... Me? That didn't even make sense. I need more things on this. I would never say the N-word. I would never do that. Ever.
And it seems like it's just the truth of being a Reddit mod. Like, this is just the sad reality of the people that take up that mantle. They think of themselves as fucking Batman, but what they actually are is down some hostile mods. So I'm going to go over the most recent one from, I think it was yesterday. And then I also want to give you a little, blast from the past from a previous instance where one of these mods went nuts. But this one I think is quite special. So what happened is there's an artist named Hayden Clay who posted his art on the subreddit. It got very popular, and in the comments he was replying to somebody asking for more information about
Did the AI art accusations come down?
his work, and he mentioned that, you can find my work here, and there's also some prints available too.
Please let it be about AI. Oh God, I'm about to come. Oh God.
Very quick reply to a nice comment. And one of the rules of the subreddit is you can't be like self-promoting your work, so you can't be like advertising prints or anything. So because he used the word prints, it got the whole post removed. Just blasted to the shadow realm. They smited it. So Hayden Clay was pretty upset, so he messaged the mod about it, trying to get further clarity, and maybe he could try and find a way out of this pickle here because he felt it was unjust. There you can see the comment that got him banned. I have a whole...
Are you seriously banning me for giving more information on my work? Ooh. Whole miniseries called Clear Boundaries with prints available. If he didn't have if he just omitted these 3 words, I wonder if they still would have banned him. Maybe not. So one of the big issues with the subreddit drama post has all this info, sure. One of the big issues with some of these subreddits, this is legitimate, it's like a very hard thing to moderate on, is back in the day, like 15 years ago, back in the day, you had these communities that popped up and people were posting stuff in them because they like contributing to the community. They're artists, they're, OnlyFans girl, not OnlyFans back then. Whatever, porn people, I don't know, people that took nude selfies or whatever, and they posted stuff and it was like, oh, cool, we'd like to come here and enjoy this and come here, I get it. And it's a cool community of people. And then eventually people start coming in and they're like, hey, look, I did an artwork. Also go buy all my shit here. Or, hey, look, here is like a partial nude. If you want to see the rest, go to my, buy my Snapchat here, whatever, right? And then the issue that you run into is soon these communities just become massive advertisement boards for anybody that wants to go and post there. And it's like, oh, well. And then it just kind of feels a little bit lame. So a lot of these communities will usually explicitly ban, advertising of your material or content. But if somebody asks you like, oh, hey, this is a cool picture, like, what do you do? Or can you give me more about it? And then somebody responds, well, hey, it's part of a miniseries I do. I feel like the boundary gets a little bit unclear here. But if you were to say, well, no, this is fine, then obviously the next step would be every single person would just post stuff and then make a bot or have another account come in and say, oh, can you tell me more info? And then say, oh, you can buy it all here. Yeah, I don't know.
Miniseries called Clear Boundaries with prints available. Just a very offhanded remark about having prints available, and it was removed because of that. So he said, are you seriously banning me for giving more information on my work? No, I banned you for breaking our rules. But I can also remove all your old posts as well if you'd like.
Damn.
Oh man, this guy's no nonsense, tough as nails, you don't tussle with a muscle, r/art mod. Oh brother, watch out, he's coming down with the iron fist. This is so fucking silly. So, like I said, the rule is like no self-promoing or whatever. You can't be mentioning where they can purchase your art or anything like that, which he wasn't really doing. It's an offhanded reply to someone that was saying they'd like to like have the art in their office or whatever. Like it's such a stretch to even have that be like a violation of their rule in the first place.
I wouldn't say it's like such a stretch, but like it seems like the guy didn't link his stuff. It's not like he linked like buy here now, you know, Black Friday sale, go buy my print. Like yeah, if somebody's asking, I feel like it's kind of weird to say, well, I can't tell you anything more about this because I'm worried that I'll be in violation, you know, that fucking Janny Batman is going to come and fuck me up. That's not what the rule was. What is the rule? Hold on. We were a strictly moderated sub and ban without warning. Do not talk about sales in any way. No asking about stores or prints or anything else, just name the artist. Oh, I wonder if the guy who asked the question that, oh, so that's how they solved that problem. See, okay. So now if you even ask about where do I buy? So that solves a problem of making a friend or another account come in and ask you the question. Okay. Well, I mean, like, it is pretty, assuming that they didn't change this, like, you know, retroactively or whatever, or like change it after the fact to make it look more clear. That is fairly clear. Thank you. Wait. Ohio State and Michigan? Who's the M for?
It is solely because the word print is there. What
sheets did you end up getting? I got the whole Luke say whatever Lux bullshit from that one site. And you know what? I've used them for 3 days, and so far I like them. Okay. Supposedly they get better after you clean them a few times too. They or wash them, they get softer or whatever. So far, I'm okay with it. I also bought a big boy blanket. I bought a real adult thing that I'm still going back and forth on called a duvet. So you have like a thing, and you put the thing in the thing, and then you close it with buttons, and it's like a thing, a real thing.
An unbelievably stinky loser. This guy is working for free as the moderator of a subreddit, and he thinks he's doing the Lord's work here. He's treating himself like he's fucking Jason Bourne or something. Oh my god, it's so sad. I can literally smell this guy through his messaging. I already know he's a villain. I'm sorry I mentioned the word. Oh, he's such a worm.
Fuck, okay, I don't think I don't listen to this. Okay. Are you seriously banning me for giving more information about my work? No, I banned you for breaking our rules, but I can remove all your older posts if you'd like. Just delete the comment and move on. Sorry I mentioned the word print. I would permaban this guy. I would do it. Just delete the comment and move on. Excuse me. What, are you my boss right now? Excuse me, what? Can we get a video of you putting the duvet in the duvet cover? What I usually do is I just like cram it in there, and then I'll grab the 2 corners in the duvet sheet, and then I stand on one side of the room, and I just do this for like 40 minutes until eventually it seems like it's sorted itself out. That's what and then I throw it on the bed. Your history's been removed. You're welcome. At this point, this isn't about breaking the rules. This is about you having some sort of vendetta against me. Comment broke Rule 9, and I get that and apologize. This reaction is overstepping boundaries. I don't even know who the fuck you are. That's some major main character energy there. This Janny is like, he's Janny tripping for sure. But this user is also protagonist tripping, okay? These guys are made for each other. Both these guys are made for each other. Says the power-hungry mod who deleted all my posts because I asked a question. You've been reported for harassment. Have a wonderful day. Nice job making this a worse place for artists and those who enjoy it. Afterwards, the mod reported the artist for harassment, which resulted in not being temporarily banned site-wide for 3 days. Spoiler alert, okay? Be careful. In my opinion, I would never message a Reddit mod for anything, because my understanding is that basically any time a Reddit mod doesn't like a user, if they report them for harassment, you basically always get 3-day banned. I don't know if they still are this extreme on it, but it used to be that like if you got banned from a subreddit, you could click the message the moderators button and say, why did I get banned? And you could get a 3-day for harassment for that. Like it would be crazy how stupid it was. I don't know why. But also based. Fuck you guys. Fuck Reddit. Permanently banned from posting art because I mentioned the word print. Damn. Thoughts on climbing into the duvet cover, holding the duvet, and starfishing inside to spread it. Peak elite work. I usually try to think of things, like sometimes before I embark on things, I try to think like, if I get caught dying doing this, would this be one of those like really stupid, humiliating ways to die? That sounds like a thing that you could do that like seems funny, but somehow your leg would get stuck a little bit and you try to move and all of a sudden you'd start suffocating and then you would die in a very retarded way. Like I feel like one of the worst, most humiliating, stupid ways to die was that, fuck, what was the picture? Oh, there was a guy who like, Jesus, baby, are you okay? Oh, this, I think he tried to like, I don't know if he was leaning over to grab something from the trunk or something happened with this and he got stuck in this position and then suffocated and died. There was like no way to like recover from this. You only bought a duvet because of the anime song from Lane, You Weeb Admit It. No, I bought the duvet because when I put the things in the cart, the thing said, do you also want to get this? And it was like duvet and duvet cover. I'm like, fuck, I should, you're right. And then I clicked add and then I got it. Thoughts on the fact that you were bamboozled by Euros on getting a duvet instead of a comforter when Euros wouldn't know comfort from a cloth on a wooden plank and a big fluffy American bed? What is a comforter? Is that just a big blanket? That's a big, huge blanket, right? I don't know why you would do a duvet over a comforter. Maybe the comforter doesn't fit in the washing machine? I honestly have no idea. How do you pronounce that last name? Kyle Plush? What did you do before? Just have sheets? Yeah, and a blanket. But like, I can sleep with sheets. I'm a warm person. I put out a lot of heat at night, okay? How is this kid's death funny? The seat got stuck and pinned him. What would you do otherwise? What? I don't know if I said, did I say it was funny? I just mean it's like a humiliating, it's like a stupid way to die. Like you wouldn't imagine that like, oops, I fell behind the car thing and the seat's kind of pinning me, LOL, and then you die. This is like, it's like a super unfortunate, shitty, horrible, like it's like you just wouldn't imagine, you know, like, bro, get up. And it's like, I can't get up. I'm going to die here. The cop / 911 operator fucked up hard. Wait, did they? I don't remember hearing that. Or maybe it did. It was a long time ago. No, I am not going to subscribe to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution News website. Fuck you. Don't care. The 911 call is horrific. He called twice. Oh no.
I'm in help. 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 When 16-year-old Kyle Plush was trapped in his minivan out of reach from his cell phone, he used voice commands to call 911. I'm trapped in my van outside the 7 Hills Hotel parking lot.
The 7 Hills what parking lot?
The teen, who could not hear operators, tried to relay his location in a school parking lot. The rear folding seat had somehow flipped over and pinned him. I'm gonna die here. After a dispatcher called...
Oh, man. I 100%... I'm glad I'm not the person who answered this call. It sounds like a kid who's just like stuck in a closet who's like scared, but they're not like in any danger, right? That's what it sounds like. I'm gonna die. I'm stuck in some area. I wonder if that's what they assumed on the phone. Oh, that sucks.
Called Plush back, the teen made a second call to 911.
I probably don't have much time left to tell my mom that I love her if I die. This is not a joke. This is not a joke.
Today, since
that sucks. It doesn't sound like he's in any distress at all, right? Oof. That's a rough one. I wonder what the that's such a rough one. Jesus. Aren't they supposed to treat all calls as serious? Well, they use their best judgment, right? Because you only have so many resources when you're running dispatch. So like less important stuff is going to be deprioritized depending upon how busy the cops are that day. How did he even die? Was the seat crushing him? I don't know how to explain this, but there are positions that your body can be in where if you relax, like it requires a lot of like strain or muscle to breathe. And as soon as you start to relax, you lose the ability to breathe. And there are certain positions you can be in where like once that happens, you'll slowly suffocate to death. I think that might be able to happen with crucifixion with your arms up. That doesn't sound right though. Maybe. George Floyd had an issue where there was compression on his body and eventually he was not able to breathe. And then it sounds like for this kid, basically, he was stuck behind the seat with the top of the thing was like pressing on his chest or whatever. And I guess he, over time, slowly lost the ability to have enough muscle power left, I guess, to breathe and then suffocated, yeah.
Cincinnati police confirmed 12 minutes.
Somebody said positional asphyxia. There you go.
After the first call, officers couldn't find the van. But the police chief now says the dispatcher who received Plush's second call,
send officers immediately. I'm almost dead.
Never conveyed the detailed information to officers who may have feared the call was a prank.
Something went wrong here, and we need to find out why we weren't able to provide that help that we hoped we could have.
I wonder, the thing is, I wonder how many calls they get from, I wonder how many calls they get from kids who get locked in areas and then think they're going to die or whatever. Oof.
6 hours later, Plush's father found his son dead in the van. A dispatcher has been placed on leave as police investigate. Miguel Almaguer, NBC News.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe.
I wonder what the full call was like. I feel like the way to, no, actually, you know, I feel like the counter to this would be you would just have to ask more questions about where the person is. Because, like, you could determine that, like, oh, like, why do you feel afraid or whatever? They're like, well, I'm stuck in a closet and it's really dark. And it's like, okay, you know, and, you know, you have time or whatever. It's just some kid being dumb. But if they say, like, oh, like, I'm folded over, I'm bent over, I'm stuck, I'm trapped, I'm squished between two things, then maybe he couldn't hear them. Why not? Was the phone, like, dropped on the thing, or? First 6 minutes is more info here. He used voice commands because he couldn't reach it. Ah, damn. 35 minutes? What the fuck? Oh, this is the whole 911 call.
Cincinnati 911. I'm so there.
It's 3:16 p.m. on April 10th, 2018. A 911 operator receives a call from 16-year-old Kyle Plush, who had just experienced a freak accident. In the minutes prior to this call, Kyle had just arrived at the Seven Hill School in Cincinnati, Ohio for a tennis match. He had been driving a 2004 Honda Odyssey, a minivan that featured 3 rows of seating, with his gear for the day's match being stored in the very back. In order to retrieve it, Kyle climbed to the back of the vehicle and reached over the 3rd row seating, extending his body as far as it could go in order to grab his equipment, when suddenly, the seat's folding mechanism was engaged, causing it to collapse into its storage position, taking Kyle with it. In an instant, he was pinned and completely unable to move as he was now trapped in the car upside down, not even being able to move his arms and hands enough to grab his cell phone. Though luckily, his phone had Siri, which he would call out to call the police.
Hello? 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 Where are you? Hello? Where are you? I can't hear you.
While on the phone, Kyle couldn't hear anything given how far away he was from the device, but he stated as clearly as he could that he was in dire need of help. Due to the position he was stuck in, he was already struggling to breathe, and he knew he was likely not going to survive much longer, which he made very clear to the operator.
I'm in desperate need of help. Hello? I'm in a doctor.
Less than 1 minute later, the call would cut out. In the recording, Kyle clearly portrayed to the operator where he was, that
Okay, I can't watch this retarded fucking YouTuber, sorry. Okay. Anyway, tragic story. Okay, done with this. Who has the hickey picture? I need it. Keep watching, there's more info. I don't care. The YouTuber is too retarded. I can't bear it. Destiny meme.
3, 2, 1, go.
How to escape if someone attacks from behind your car while you're wearing a seatbelt. How often is fucking Freddy Krueger hiding in your back seat like this? Holy shit.
3, 2, 1, go. Okay, fingers in. Okay, seatbelt comes off. There we go. Loop in. Okay, now with my other hand, I'm gonna kick the seat back and I'm gonna open the seat. I'm gonna open the door, okay? 3, 2, 1. All the way down. I'm out and I can escape freely, okay?
This is a retarded meme? Is this a meme? This is one of the funniest memes I've seen in a long time. Okay. This is bait. 100%.
2 fingers. 2 fingers. Seat down.
Hey, remember what I said? The thing, okay? Fuck the automatic. Fuck this. You need levers on your seats. This shit is fucking retarded. Wait. No. Hold on. She's not pregnant, right? Also, these outfits are very extra. No, she's not. Okay. Found the hickey post. Removed by moderator. Wait, do I have to go to old Reddit? Still removed. Every time I hear Hutch talk about your positions on Republicans or leftists, it feels like it's the first time he learns that these people are crazy. And by the next time a convo on tankies or MAGA comes up, he kind of starts all over again with a lot of charity. LOL, I like Hutch, but that drives me wild. I mean, I'm sympathetic with his position. I mean, I think if anything, it's probably similar-ish to Hobbit's position. Now, we all consume one side of the media, so we fucking hate these motherfuckers, which you should. But like, it is hard if a lot of people just don't know really anything. And then if they want to realize like, oh, well, this is kind of fucked, maybe we should not support this. I can understand why people in that position might feel like it's kind of shitty to be ultra vindictive to those people, but there's a link in chat with the hickey. Where? Oh. Oof, with the fuckboy chain on and everything. Oh no. Who is this? Well, this guy apparently made a Reddit post this morning saying, I dropped a box on my neck. How do I make sure my girlfriend understands this so she doesn't think I was cheating last night? And everybody in the subreddit didn't believe him. They said, I think it kind of looks like a hickey, bro. The thing I linked has the full post. Dropped a box on myself at work and now my girlfriend thinks I'm cheating. I know the title makes this seem fake, but it is way too painfully real. I work at a department store with a very chaotic and unsafe warehouse in the back. Yesterday, I was handling a huge shipment of stuff specifically for about Black Friday. At some point, I knocked over a stack of boxes on a pallet, with a few of them landing on me. One of the corners struck the lower part of my neck and was sore for a while, but I didn't think anything of it. 3 hours later, I got out of work to see my girlfriend. She immediately starts to lose her shit on me. When I ask why, she cites the fucking hickey I came home with. She now believes I am cheating on her and is seriously considering leaving me after almost 2 whole years. The worst part is that it really does look like one. Although it's a bit small, it's perfectly placed where a hickey would be. I immediately tried to explain what happened, but she doesn't believe me. She told me she won't believe me unless I show her the camera footage, which I can't possibly do. Why couldn't he show her the footage? Multiple people saw this happen, which they can vouch for. I would never do something so horrible to her. I truly love her and have been nothing but faithful. Oh no. Honestly, having stuff like hit your skin and like drag a little, I feel like it's actually not the most unbelievable story. But you know, I say sometimes you get caught in a situation and you're like fuck me, bro. Like no matter what I say, yeah, like this looks bad no matter what. So Destiny, retailers won't pull CCTV for shit like this. Really? I mean, like, I feel like policy-wise they wouldn't, but I feel like if you were friends with your supervisor or manager and you're like, bro, can you just like let me record this like on my phone? I feel like if they were chill, they would show you. But maybe for a large enough one, maybe they would. Maybe it's like way stricter or something. I don't know. I worked with shoe shipping and stuff. When boxes fall on you, they 100% look like this. Yeah, I feel like I get a lot of marks like this when I'm carrying stuff up, usually on my dick, and they look like your mom's mouth. Just kidding, sorry. But unironically, because I carry boxes up from the downstairs or whatever, right? And I feel like if I do that, I feel like I get marks like this on my arms sometimes, and they look kind of like this. But rip. But if the girlfriend doesn't trust him at all, then fuck him.
Can we talk?
Uh-oh. Sure, bro. What's up? Is everything okay?
Yeah. It's just, well, as you know, we've been seeing each other for a couple weeks now as friends.
And it's been great. I really like you, bro. I enjoy hanging with you.
Glad to hear you say that.
So what's up?
Well, I hope this isn't too forward or too soon, but, Wow, bro.
So, what do you say?
Look, dude, I like you and all, but
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, look, man, I just don't know if we're there yet. You know, it's only been a few weeks. I'm still trying to figure out what I want between us. This is a lot to take in.
No, of course. It was stupid to even...
It's just a bit too big of a jump. What about a middle ground? You know, like a step in between that?
Yeah, what if we move in together? Let's buy a house.
Yeah, that or having sex, but we need to work up to being able to say the N-word around each other.
Jesus. Why does this person's PC spark electricity when the cable touches it? AI. I have no idea what the answer is, but I know what the answer is not, and what everybody in chat's probably typing right now is, "Oh, he didn't ground the motherboard. He didn't use a standout." Let me get a Red Bull 1 sec. Why don't you switch the places of the board and the clutter behind you? Wouldn't the board be easier to see? Because it's going to take me like 2 hours of moving shit around to make it all work again, and I haven't. I'll do it in like 2 weeks, or when I move to my next place.
Sure you got the power turned on in the back of the PSU? Oh god, hello?
Yes, power's on.
Okay.
Oh!
Hello?
Yes, power's on.
Okay.
Oh! We can't do this, bro. We can't.
Did it happen again?
Not only did it happen again, did you see that? Electricity literally came out of the back of my computer.
Okay. Can you unplug this real fast?
Shut up, loser.
I mean, that's a good one, bro. I can't believe Walmart got that.
This
might be the best damn shirt. I can't believe Walmart had that shit, man. This is fucking nuts, man. You copy, bro? R.I.P., man. R.I.P. to one, bro.
Okay.
What if we took the most annoying puzzles on the internet and forced scammers to solve them?
Now, fourth line, second word.
I see one! I see one! I see one!
It won't work!
Toe!
It won't work!
That's a word right there, toe!
Oh, it's not gonna work!
That was the idea behind my recent Code Jam event. You have been...
Wait, real quick. What? In a debate, let's say that I'm setting up my own debate and I get to choose my own rules. How long should the opening statements be by both sides? Hello, Destiny. I really enjoyed the podcast episode you had with Connor and talked about Warhammer 40k. Will you ever do something similar? Yeah, I think he's coming over in a couple days. Okay, fuck all of you in chat. All right, 3 minutes is fine. I don't need 5 minutes. Why? Just 3 minutes. It's fine. You know what? If you guys speak fast enough, find somebody else to do it for you. 3 minutes is fine. Fuck you.
Tasked with creating... Yeah. I'm trying to move my money out of my Kraken account.
Damn, he stepped up the production value on this. Holy shit.
I don't see a red light on there. Should I have seen a red light? It's green. Should I come back up?
No. Just give me a moment, Richard.
Okay, I'll stay downstairs then. All I have to do now is sit back and watch as the scammers slowly lose their mind trying to solve our impossible captchas. This is actually kind of funny because now he has to do it while I'm...
Depends on the topic and how long. It's about like whether or not Donald Trump has been an authoritarian or something. We're debating back and forth on what the subject or in the format is going to be for our debate in Arizona. Initially, they suggested 12-minute openers because it's a 2-on-2 debate with me and Adam. But 12 minutes, I'm like, no, fuck that. I'll do Q&A with the audience. And so I said 3 minutes, take it or leave it. Like, otherwise, fuck it. It's so stupid. Like, what do you need to speak about for so much? And then just go back and forth. I do not like the ultra-structured, like, here's my 5 minutes, then their 5 minutes, then I get to do 3 minutes here, then God, I hate it. Ugh.
While I'm downstairs. Yeah, it's still green. It's flashing every once in a while. Do you need me to keep track of that?
Okay.
Sir, because we are refreshing the network, that's the reason. It will...
Stop. The fuck is this? Bowel moles? Cost of disease? Bowel mole? Can you get 1 mil on YouTube already? Yeah, if we make it next year without any lawsuits.
There's a thing in economics called Baumol's cost disease.
Baumol's cost disease. Okay. Or is, oh, Jesus.
It's called the Baumol's cost disease.
Okay.
Is this idea of Baumol's cost disease.
Okay.
Using it. And then there's Baumol's cost.
Okay. Baumol's cost disease is an economic phenomenon that describes how wages in labor-intensive, low-productivity sectors such as the arts, education, and healthcare tend to rise in tandem with wages in high-productivity sectors like manufacturing. I'm so confused about the sectors they chose. Are healthcare jobs generally low productivity? Is this like worldwide? This might be true. Remember, if this is an econ paper, it's talking about productivity in terms of like how much does a laborer produce with an hour of labor. But healthcare is usually billed very highly, at least in the United States. But maybe in the UK or whatever, or in other countries, maybe their healthcare sectors are lower productivity because they don't charge as much or they don't bill as much. Maybe. The theory highlights that while productivity in manufacturing can increase, leading to lower costs and higher wages, sectors reliant on human labor often cannot achieve similar productivity gains. As a result, they must raise prices to keep pace with rising wages, even though their productivity remains relatively constant. Its services in general, like a haircut and healthcare, costing 20x more in the USA versus Mexico. For example, a musician performing a piece today is no more productive than a musician performing the same piece a century ago. Yet, due to wage increases driven by broader economic trends, the cost of attending performances has arisen. Oh, I don't know what they mean by productive. I'm sorry, I don't know what this means. I don't know what... Productivity Investopedia. My understanding is productivity is measured by how much can a person produce with a unit of labor. Productivity compares the level of input with the output. Yeah, wait, stop! Jesus Christ! The input may be labor, equipment, or money, and the output may be a good or service. Economic productivity is calculated as a ratio of gross domestic product to hours worked. A musician performing a piece today is no more productive than a musician performing the same piece a century ago. That just seems so on its face absurdly wrong to me. No? A musician today can perform in front of an audience that is way larger than in the past because we have loudspeakers, because we have electronic stuff. We can record CDs, so a single performance can be sold for 1 million times. I don't know what they mean by productivity here. I'm not sure what they mean by that. What does healthcare actually produce? It's like a consulting service. Services are counted as things you produce. You spend a lot of money on healthcare shit. I imagine the productivity... is quite high. Productivity. Is productivity measured in absolute or relative compared to the cost of labor? No, it's just hours worked. So it's just compared to how long you work. Due to wage increases driven by broader economic trends, the cost of attending performances has risen. This dynamic creates financial pressures for nonprofit organizations within these sectors, often forcing them to struggle with compensation for artists and personnel while trying to maintain accessibility for diverse audiences. Consequently, Baumol's cost disease can contribute to broader economic implications, such as rising costs for essential services and slowing economic growth, as consumers may find themselves allocating more of their budgets to these labor-intensive services. Baumol's cost disease refers to salary increases in jobs that have failed to achieve higher productivity over time, simply because salaries have increased in jobs that have increased in productivity. This phenomenon suggests that paying more for labor-intensive, low-productivity services has a negative impact on productivity growth across the economy. Isn't there also a this? Hold on, let me think about this for a second. There's a supply and demand thing in terms of how much you'd have to pay for labor as well here, right? Like you would necessarily have to pay more for lower productivity labor over time if people are moving into higher productivity jobs because those jobs pay more. But if your supply of labor for lower productivity jobs falls too much, then at some point you're going to have to offer more to capture those workers, right? I think it means that if you have two economies, a healthcare economy is less productive compared to a manufacturing economy for similar capital and labor inputs. That might be true. Maybe. Economists William Baumol and William Bowen, Willie B's losers, developed the cost disease theory in 1965. They explain the idea in an essay on cost increases in the performing arts. The essay on the performing arts, the enemy of their economic problems, examines the seemingly constant state of panic of organizations supporting artists such as dance and opera companies, orchestras, and resident theater companies. Such organizations are overwhelmingly nonprofit. This economic pressure forces pay to decrease for performers, which may prevent some from continuing to work in the arts and keeps many in poverty and often juggling multiple jobs unrelated to the arts, such as waiting tables. I feel like the arts is such a bad example. There's so many other like non-economic things that are factoring in here, right? Like I feel like this sounds mean to say, no offense to my fellow musician people, but I feel like there are so many pressures in the academic world sometimes to maintain like classical music or to have performances with like the classical arts, but really there's just not a demand for this stuff. But nonprofits will do it, and people will go to these because you feel like you have to, or you just want to see a classical performance. But like the demand for this is going to be so fucking low, no? Okay. Why was I even link this? I don't care. Don't care.
Some things are not.
This graph will change how you see the world. Some economist wrote a response to that 140K is poverty article you read the other day. Uh-oh. Jesus. Oh, actually, you know what? You might read this. Chill. Haven't the arts always been feast or famine? Maybe, but you know, it wouldn't surprise me if, in a way, I guess it depends on where you measure the productivity, but because these jobs, I would argue that in the upper arts, those jobs have probably become more productive. And as a result, there are... No, fuck, I don't even know. Like, imagine, let me put it this way. Imagine 200 years ago, you wanted to listen to music. You would have to, like, go and find musicians to play, right? Or when did is it the phonograph? I don't know. When did the first records come out? Like, anytime you wanted to hear a song or hear music, you would need musicians. That puts a huge demand on musicians. Like, you need them anywhere. If you want to have music at a venue, if you want to have music for literally any event, you literally have to have musicians there to play it. But if you had the ability to perform a song one time and then have that recording and then have other people play it, I would argue the productivity for that labor seems to definitely have increased. You're producing way more economic output for a single performance, for a single hour of labor. But then the demand for musicians in general would decrease, right? If before I needed 1,000 different performances and now I only need one performance, it seems obvious that necessarily the demand for those people would decrease, right? I don't know. Are those attributable to better input capital rather than the labor input? Well, but it's both, right? Capital and labor mixed together to create, this is our Marxist labor theory of value, right? It's like capital plus natural resource is improved upon by labor, and then that produces your final good or service that you sell to somebody or something like that.
This is the best, show Putin can hope for. Not a single straight answer. It's not about how many weapons you have, ammunition. It's, are you willing to fight and die? Oh, it's nice. You have a Canadian-led brigade in Latvia. What's the order for this brigade? Will they shoot if Russians cross the border? We know the answer. It will take ages to negotiate. I still didn't hear a clear response to, it's not, I can't even imagine this. How can we discuss seriously the deal made by Trump's business partner? It's a real estate deal to enrich Trump's family and sell Ukraine. And how can we seriously discuss that Ukraine will have to give up fortifications that are saving Europe? We're celebrating NATO. NATO is not strong. NATO doesn't exist. It's a fake. It's NATO, 4 letters. The reason you are still sitting here and celebrating it, Ukraine is dying every minute. It's a massive sacrifice. If not for Ukraine standing in front of Russia, Russian tanks would be already in Poland. You all suggested that Ukraine would give up. You offered Zelensky a ride. And he said, I don't need ride and ammunition. 4 years Ukraine is fighting for the whole Europe. NATO was built to fight only one war, not to go to Afghanistan, not to go to Syria, one war to save free Europe from Russian aggression. Ukraine is the only country that is fighting this war, and we're still discussing, should we include them or not? Ukraine is the only country that is fulfilling NATO's destiny. And we all...
Oof. That is kind of historically ass-pained that, like, NATO was formed as a response to Soviet expansionism and to protect other nations from falling under, like, the Soviet umbrella, but all the NATO missions have been aggressively basically bombing things in the Middle East, I guess.
Them everything. Oh, let's...
Or wait, the, hold on. Was the Kosovo stuff, was this a, like, a UN thing, or was that a NATO thing? The Balkans was big. Serbia, not NATO. Was Serbia? I don't remember. That might have been... Okay, that might have been a NATO thing at least. But even that wasn't against, like, the Soviet Union, right? Or Russia, whatever.
So let's sacrifice them. And Zelensky is making... I don't know even how to explain this choice. As a Russian, I also feel guilty. That's why I cannot tell him, you know, show Trump middle finger. But again, we have how many senators we have here? Are you going to tell Donald Trump that he cannot do that? You have 85 is more than 2/3, yes, if I'm out of 100. Senator? So, yes, how come that, you know, this bill is still sitting somewhere on the floor of the Senate? And
how do countries not lose faith in NATO and withdraw after all this fuck shit? In my opinion, and I still feel this way for all of the European Union as well, I still think the whole world is waiting for the United States to wake up. That right now everybody's kind of going through a bad dream, and we're talking about preparing for the future and what European leadership and security is going to look like and the new trade deals. But I think everybody's still like in the back of their mind, like praying that the U.S. is going to come to its senses and wake up, and we can kind of go back to how things were before. But
it's not still being done. Putin, Xi Jinping, all others, they are celebrating it. And by the way, Russia has North Korean, they have Cubans, they have Africans, volunteers. So, and we're still talking about escalation. We have everything, military, political, economic powers on our side, and we're still losing the war. It's thanks to Ukraine, Russia is not fulfilling Putin's dream of restoring a Russian empire. But if, God forbid, Ukraine is forced to make this deal, then it's very clear, Putin will realize his dream. And then, guys, you're next, but you are not willing to fight.
I'm tempted to get you to respond, but let's keep moving.
okay, we read that article about the poverty line should be $140,000 based on that guy's weird calculations. Apparently an economist has written a response to this. A recent essay by Michael W. Green makes a very bold claim that the poverty line should not be where it is currently set, about $31,200 for a family of four, but should be much higher. He suggests somewhere around $140K. The essay was originally posted on his Substack, but has now gone somewhat viral and has been reposted at the Free Press. Note that the actual poverty threshold for a family of four with two kids is $31,812, a minor difference from Mr. Green's figure, so not worth dwelling on much, but this is a constant frustration in his essay. He rarely tells us where his numbers come from. I think there are at least three major errors Mr. Green makes in the essay. One, he drastically underestimates how much income American families have. Two, he drastically overstates how much spending is necessary to support a family because he uses average spending figures and treats them as minimum amounts. And he obsesses over the official poverty measure since it was originally based on the cost of food in the 1960s and ignores that census already has a new poverty measure which takes into account food, shelter, clothing, and utility costs, the supplement poverty measure. I won't go into great detail about the official poverty measure, as I would recommend you read Scott Winship on this topic. Needless to say, today the OPM, or some multiple of it, is primarily used today for anti-poverty program qualification, not to actually measure how well families are doing today. If we really bump the poverty line about to $140,000, tons of Americans would now qualify for things like Medicaid, SNAP, and federal housing assistance. Does Mr. Green really want 2/3 of Americans to qualify for these programs? I doubt it. Instead, he seems to be interested in measuring how well off American families are today, so am I. Well, this sentence kind of misses the point. I don't think you would say, do you really want 2/3 of Americans to qualify for these programs? I think his response would be, well, what I'm saying is that the economic situation is so dire that 2/3 of Americans would qualify for them, right? I feel like he's mixing this up a little bit, but Let's dive into the numbers. Measuring income. Mr. Green's essay is about income and spending. He mentions income 26 times in the essay, but he never, so far as I can tell, links to any measure of income. The only hard number he references from any data source is median household income, which he mentioned several times as $80,000. Note, again, this number isn't quite right. It was $83,730 in 2024. But median household income probably isn't the best number for his analysis. Households include people living alone, elderly couples, and various non-family structures. His essay primarily focuses on a family of 4, 2 earners, 2 kids, and we have some measures of income that come more closely to approximating this type of family, and they are all much greater than $80,000. That's probably true, actually. Median household income would be pretty worthless because a retired couple would count towards that, but they would probably pull the median down a bit, or a family of, or just like individuals living together, or no, I'm sorry, not individuals living together, just an individual living on their own might also drag that number down a bit, but they don't necessarily need higher incomes because they're not supporting a family of 4 or something, right? Maybe? That's a good point. For example, a very readily available number he could have used is median family income, which was a much higher $105,800 in 2024. But that's all families, regardless of whether they have kids or how many earners they have. For married couples with children, regardless of number of earners, it is a much higher figure, $132,959 in 2024. God damn, really? I wonder. We're still reading. I shouldn't accuse him of bias, but I wonder if, like, for married couples, I wonder how many couples together with children who aren't married there are versus couples that are married with children. But for families with 2 earners, median income is even higher, $142,200 in 2024. I can't find in the publicly calculated census tables a number for married couple dual earner families with children, but it would likely be in this $140,000 range, if not higher. So we can already see that $140,000 is not some mythical number that is unattainable by American families for the type of family Mr. Green is interested in. Half of the families are already at this income level. True, that does mean that half are already below it, but the $80,000 figure he keeps using as a baseline isn't anywhere near the right number. When he says things like, if one parent stays home, the income drops to $40,000 or $50,000 from the supposed $80,000 baseline, he's drastically understating the financial situation of a typical family. Again, Mr. Green, to reach the median household income, Destiny, the married couple is going to be more weighted towards older people because younger people marriage rates are extremely low now compared to previous decades. While that might be true, it can't be weighted too much because, like, if your children are 40, they probably don't live at home anymore, right? So the married couple with children ideally shouldn't be there, right? No, the median income for a male that works full-time in the U.S. was $75,440 in 2024. Is that true? Why did I feel like this number was so much lower? Did I get brainwashed by the red pill spaces? 5,000. Full-time, year-round, all workers by median income and sex. Woo, yeah. Male, median income. Wait. No, the median income for a male that works full-time in the U.S. was $75,440. Oh, this is going to be all men, so this includes married men and everything else as well, right? Sure. That's still higher than I thought it was, though. Damn. Okay. Yeah, stay losing, women. Sorry, just kidding. So many narratives about American decline claim that one male income isn't enough to get by these days, but remember, anytime you see that median household income figure, this is basically what the median male earns, not what a dual income family earns. For the median female working full-time, median income is $61,020. If the median male and female full-time worker are married, they earn $136, $460, just adding those two medians together. Once again, right in the range that Mr. Green thinks is necessary to support a family of 4. You couldn't necessarily just add these together for reasons, but we're just kind of approximating or whatever, maybe, sure, maybe. Mr. Green has understated a typical family income by something like 70%. Knowing this fact alone would, I think, cause him to reconsider his entire essay, but it's worse than that. He also overstates the amount of spending required to support a family. Family spending. Mr. Green uses what he calls conservative national average data to construct a basic needs budget for our family of 4. He lists spending data for childcare, housing, food, transportation, healthcare, and other essentials, undefined, but actually his third largest category, then throws in an income tax estimate to get a figure of $136,500 as the basic needs budget. He also then just refers to this number as $140K throughout most of the rest of the essay. Again, he lists no sources for any of these numbers. I could probably track most of them down, but that would actually miss the main error he makes. He's using average spending levels as minimum spending levels needed to support a family. But the average spending levels probably represent a lot of spending that is not necessary to support a family, but is merely a reflection of how wealthy we are today. Take food spending. The essay says the family needs to spend $14,717 on food as a minimum. Oh, that's true too, using that as a minimum. Damn, $1,000 a month? This number probably comes from the Consumer Expenditure Survey, which shows a family of 4 spent $14,325 on food in 2023, and maybe adjusted it up by food inflation since then. But that's how much a family actually spent, which will include, for example, at least some discretionary dining out experiences. Groceries are just 60% of this total. What's a better number? Thankfully, the USDA puts out regular estimates of the cost of a thrifty food plan, and their reference family is 2 adults with 2 kids, perfect for our purposes. Unfortunately, in 2021, the Biden admin increased the cost of this thrifty food plan by about 21%. That is above the cost of food inflation, so I'm not totally confident in this number anymore. Nonetheless, the figure can be useful. The USDA says it is currently $1,002 per month, or about $12,000 per year for our family of 4. Prior to the Biden revision, that figure was $687 per month in May 2021, which if we adjust for grocery inflation since then comes to $850 per month, or about $10,200 per year. So $10,000 to $12,000 per year is probably a better number rather than almost $15,000 in Green's essay. You might say this is only a few $1,000s, but notice he is overstating food costs by 22 to 47%. If all the costs are being overstated by 1/3 or so, it no longer takes $118,000 of post-tax income to support the family, but closer to $90,000, already putting us well below median family income. Are all of the costs as overstated as the food costs? I won't dive into each category. I can't even begin to dive into the big $22,000 other essentials category because we don't know what it is, but let's talk about housing for a moment. He puts that annual housing cost at $23,267 or $1,938 per month. Is it possible to house a family of 4 for less than that? Again, clearly it is. First, we can note that the median gross rent in the U.S. was $1,487 in 2024. Does that include, that's for everybody though, right? Like single people, families. Of course, most Americans aren't renters, but rent is a useful figure to use because it generally resets annually at market rates, whereas homeowners are somewhat insulated, so averages, including long-term homeowners, aren't especially useful. And we don't need to add in things like property taxes or maintenance. The rent already reflects those. If that number is reasonable, then housing costs have been overstated by 30%. Can a family of 4 house themselves for under $1,500 a month? Probably not in New York City. Well, I feel like he's making kind of a big... That chart had figures for size of home. Wait, did it? Hold on, sorry. Units and structure. Total housing units. Hold on. What would I look for? Rooms? Bedrooms, maybe, I guess? So we can say 2 or 3 bedrooms. If I wanted to see the percent. If I wanted to see the average rent, what would I be? Wait, I don't even see where the rent value is listed. Q equals rent. Do I have to download the table to see? Maybe? Okay, whatever. I feel like this median gross rent is going to be lower than maybe we'd want it to be, but like it's probably going to be higher if you need like 2 or 3 bedrooms for a family of 4. The rent already reflects those. If the number is reasonable, housing costs can family for okay, probably not in LA, but if we look into Chicago, the central city of America's 3rd largest MSA, what does MSA stand for? We see almost 200 homes for rent that are at least 3 bedrooms and under $1,500. Three bedrooms. Damn. What the fuck? Oh, metro-sized area. Gotcha. Wait, show me pictures. 3 bedroom. $1,500 a month. Chicago. Okay. If we look at Dallas-Fort Worth without going to the outer suburbs, America's 4th largest MSA, we can find there are currently 350 homes for rent under $1,500 with at least 3 bedrooms on Zillow. Are all of these rentals perfect? No. Is Zillow a comprehensive listing of rentals? Also no. So the fact that there are currently hundreds of rentals available in 2 of America's largest metro areas that could house a 4-person family for less than $1,500, clearly the $1,900 figure is too high. If we expand the search filter to $1,900, we get 760 rentals in Chicago and a whopping 2,000 DFW. I mean, the fact that guy, I think there's always, I always say this, remember, there's weird stuff when it comes to like, when data gets too specific or too broad, you should feel like the person is lying to you unless they justify that. Like if somebody says like, I happen to know that women, I know that women are worse at video games. And the reason why I know this is because when we look at the total amount of female to male players on the ladder for Angry Birds in 2024, from the ages of 16 to 21 and a half, we can see that men right? When you get like really specific figures, or when people give you figures that are way too broad, then it's like, okay, wait, hold on. The fact that that guy was trying to say that housing was unaffordable, regardless of whether it is or isn't, but he's like, we're going to look at this single sub-city neighborhood thing in New Jersey. He's like, why? Really? I thought that was kind of weird. Before leaving the discussion of housing prices, I should emphasize I'm not trying to minimize the housing affordability question. As I've written about numerous times in the past, housing has become much less affordable in recent years. But at the same time, we need not overstate how much it costs. You can certainly pay $2,000 a month if you want, but in most of America, you could house a family of 4 for much less than that. One final cost I will discuss is childcare. I won't quibble too much with the number he uses, about $16,000 per child per year, other than to say that childcare costs vary significantly by state. On only a handful of states have an average of $16,000 or more. But the most important thing about childcare costs is that these are temporary. Yeah, because they last for about anywhere from 4 to 6 years, right? Thank goodness, most kids will only be in full-time daycare for a maximum of 5 years. So for a 2-child household, this is 10 years of full-time daycare costs, or about $160,000 total over the kids' younger years. A median income family makes that much income in just 3 calendar years. It doesn't make sense to put $32,773 into a permanent basic needs budget of a 2-child family, since it is a temporary expense, and it's also wrong to say, as Green does, that the second earner is working to pay the stranger watching their children so they can go to work and clear $1 to $2K extra a month. The median female is making double the cost of daycare, and yes, while she pays taxes, there are also tax credits, and they're only bearing that full cost for 5 full calendar years, compared with a working career of perhaps 40 years of the second earner's salary. I'm not saying everyone should choose daycare and 2 earners, but as with housing, Mr. Green is radically overstating the full impact of this choice on the household budget. Finally, Mr. Green seems to take a lot of issue with the official poverty measure. He's certainly not the first person. Again, read Woodship's essay on this topic for more of the history of this measure. Since Mr. Green is not the first to complain about the OPM, it will not surprise you to learn that there are many alternative measures of poverty that have been developed over the years. A very well-known one, also produced by the Census Bureau and even included in all the same reports as the OPM, is a newer measure called the Supplemental Poverty Measure. The SPM overcomes most of the criticism of the OPM. First, it's not merely linked. Okay. Oh, the SPM is better than the OPM. And that it has those housing costs vary by geographic area, unlike the OPM, which is a single number for the entire nation. San Jose is right next to San Francisco, right? Am I making that up? I think it is. Okay, nice. I didn't really go over that much this thing on stream, but there's like really weird shit. Do you know if it's true that the Afghan dude was granted asylum by the Trump admin of April this year? No clue. I haven't read up much on it. Somebody, fuck, I retweeted this guy, I think. Hold on. Also, this was just fucking wild. I don't know, bro. That one guy who was like, if you just look at politics in America today and pretend that like everybody's acting like they're 12 years old, it explains everything. I feel like so much of that is...
You say the word faggot on camera?
No.
Why?
Because
you don't want to get arrested, do you?
Doesn't want to be arrested.
Oh, because it's so harmful to people?
No.
Is that like gay bashing? What's wrong with that?
No, would you use that word?
Faggot?
Yeah.
I just did.
Yeah, but would you
faggot,
use it?
faggot.
Okay, but why?
And I'm using it because you're not allowed to, because you're...
I'm allowed to.
Go ahead.
I don't want to.
Say, I love gay people. Faggot.
I'm allowed to. I just choose not.
If Piers was the true Giga Chad, he would have said the N-word and asked Tucker Carlson to do that. That would have been... No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. So this has to do with the leaks coming out. This guy tweeted out some shit. There was an interesting analysis of this, but we'll read a little more of this. Chaos. Two rival factions, one tied to the president and the other to the VP, are trying to set U.S. policy on Ukraine, cutting out the State Department. It also explains how we got the leaked call, which is crazy in my opinion. I don't know if that just seems wild to me, but each one pushes Ukraine to surrender, then leaks to the press to claim that they are official. FT, Financial Times, now reports that Vance's faction is holding its own talks. So this is quoted from the article. The U.S. official added that Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Steve Witkoff, President Donald Trump's special envoy, went their separate ways to continue those pieces on their end. The nice thing about adding Dan Driscoll to this process is you're adding to, not taking away, so he's able to continue conversations and things like that. And then this guy's trying to point out that these are three rival factions in the U.S. government, basically, that are conducting U.S. foreign policy. Also, I don't know if this applies to every sector of history. Maybe it's different in some places. Maybe this is good. But for Israel-Palestine, the history, anytime you're having talks with like different factions that are supposedly representing the same people, that's always a disaster. It always means some fuck shit is happening or just stuff is not okay. I think it was at the Madrid Peace Conference in 94, or did those talks start in 91? I think it was 94 is when Israel got to peace with Jordan, but they were also trying to engage a Palestinian delegation in peace talks as well. But eventually, I think the U.S. State Department, or no, I think it was the Israeli leadership just started eventually engaging Arafat directly in peace talks because they couldn't get far enough with the other people. Like anytime you got like multiple talks going on, you're just trying to cut somebody out, basically, is how it kind of works, I think. From the Israeli-Palestinian perspective. Maybe that's not true all the time in history. Maybe there are times when you're engaging multiple parts of a government's apparatus in peace talks separately. That seems mindfucky to me, but I don't know. But anyway, the tweeter guy here, Capital Hunters, is pointing out three different factions in the White House. You've got the Kushner-Trump faction, which is currently represented by Steve Witkoff. You've got the State Department that's ran by Marco Rubio, which in my mind, I don't know if, I feel like the U.S. State Department is probably the one that should be doing these talks. Like our Department of State is supposed to be the representation of America to the rest of the world and conduct like foreign affairs. It's kind of weird that special envoys in the White House are doing all of this with no collaboration with our Department of State. That seems kind of fucking not right, but okay. And then you've got this Dan Driscoll guy who I guess is part of the J.D. Vance, Peter Thiel faction. I don't even know who. I feel like I've heard this name a lot and I know I've seen this guy. Is he just... He's currently the Secretary of the Army. Is that right now? I have to look at that chart again to see where this guy even fits in on everything. This is a civilian. Okay. Is Secretary of the Army, is this subdivision of the DOD? It's a senior civilian officer within the U.S. Department of Defense with statutory responsibility. Okay. Yeah, okay. Oh, sorry. Department of War. My bad. My bad. Jesus, my bad. Just like Secretary Rubio said yesterday, we're going to continue this 24/7. All effort. We're trying to move as fast and aggressively as possible. In October, the Trump faction, son-in-law Jared Kushner and business pal Steve Witkoff, met secretly with a Russian representative in Miami. Now, the Vance faction, his Yale friend Dan Driscoll, is meeting in Abu Dhabi with Russians and a Ukrainian. I guess there's a story about that meeting. Rival efforts. Okay, so a different branch of talks. Financial Times source is clearly part of the Vance camp and tries to portray the Secretary of the Army Dan Driscoll, a 39-year-old former first lieutenant whose only qualification, his friendship with Vance, as a new important conduit to Russia. FT had to ask if Ukrainians were involved at all. The meeting in Abu Dhabi comes after progress over the weekend in talks between Ukrainian and U.S. delegations in Geneva. The U.S. Army Secretary was also involved in negotiations in the Swiss city. Driscoll has been involved with this peace process pretty hot and heavy in the past few days, said the U.S. official, referring to the talks with Ukrainian officials in recent days. He's been obviously very involved, so he's able to kind of communicate that peace to Russia. Obviously, Ukraine knows what's going on, and they knew where he was coming. After Geneva, the U.S. official said. So this is showing us that Driscoll is pushing a separate effort from Witkoff, and then Driscoll is acting as a conduit to Russia because he can communicate to Russia. And then Driscoll's effort is mostly about Russia. FD had to ask if Ukraine was informed. The tweeter here is inferring that based on the response, that this would have been a response to that question. Is Ukraine involved or whatever, right? Unlike the early Axios reporting on Kushner/Witkoff, FT uses direct quotes that show how irregular this is. Driscoll's outreach is new, separate, and aggressive. The takeaway, Putin, out of cash to pay his soldiers, is desperate for a ceasefire and calling all of his helpers. The U.S. official added the Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Steve Witkoff, President Donald Trump's special envoy, went their separate ways to continue those pieces on their end. And this is just a restatement of before. Okay. It was unclear whether the three sides in Abu Dhabi were meeting together or talking separately. Putin's economy is crashing and he's out of money. All this chaos in U.S. foreign policy began the week that Russia began selling off its gold reserves. What we're seeing is weakness. Putin is calling out all his U.S. assets to stave off catastrophe. The leaks are the story. Someone, the State Department, is now pushing back against the freelancing by leaking a full recording of Witkoff's October phone call with a Russian official. Witkoff is dimmer than had been reported and clearly on Russia's side. The fact that we had that phone call is kind of crazy, I think. Right? I don't know if we've gotten a leak like that before. But, okay. I saw reporting that a European intel agency leaked it. How? How would they even have access to that? Explain the phone call? I think there was one or two phone calls that were leaked, but it basically shows that like Russia's drafting stuff and then handing it off to Witkoff to kind of present as his own work, basically. Let's listen to it. Is there a recording of it or just the transcript of the recording of it? I don't think we've heard the actual phone call. I think it's just a transcript of the recording. Pay attention to the dates because the timing matters. Steve Witkoff, this article was yesterday, spoke with Yuri Yushikov, a Russian official, on October 14th. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky held a meeting with President Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. on October 17th. Trump has been hinting that he would offer to sell Tomahawks long-range cruise missiles to the Ukrainian army, but he did not. Why not? Perhaps Yushikov listened to Witkoff's advice and persuaded Russian President Vladimir Putin to call Trump on October 16th. Witkoff, in other words, may have helped block that sale. And that would make Witkoff responsible for prolonging the war. Let me back up and explain. Witkoff, a former real estate a former real estate developer, is supposed to be negotiating a peace settlement between Russia and Ukraine. He is in theory acting on behalf of the United States, but also on behalf of millions of people who want peace in Ukraine and security in Europe. Yushakov, a former Russian ambassador to the United States, has different interests. Like his boss, he wants Russia to win the war. A tape of the October 14th conversation has been leaked to Bloomberg. That's how we know that Witkoff suggested to Yushakov that Putin call Trump. He also offered advice about what Putin should say. The Russian leader should flatter Trump, of course, which is standard advice for speaking to the American president, compliment him on his great success in Gaza, congratulate the president on this achievement. After that, Witkoff said, it's going to be a really good call. Then, Witkoff advised, Putin should impress upon Trump this idea. The Russian Federation has always wanted a peace deal. That's my belief. I told the president I believe that. Together, the two of them would cook up a peace plan, just like Trump's recent Gaza peace plan. Yushakov gave Putin this advice. Putin followed it. How do we know? Because Putin did, in fact, call Trump on October 16th. The call lasted for more than 2 hours. Trump said the call was productive and that the two leaders would soon meet, potentially in Budapest, which never happened. During his meeting with Zelensky on the following day, he did not offer Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. Instead, he became emotional and angry. In keeping with a long-standing Russian demand, Trump tried to persuade the Ukrainians to give up Ukrainian land in Donetsk province that they currently control, land that the Russians have not been able to conquer after more than a decade of fighting. This is what Putin wants, to obtain Ukrainian territory without fighting for it, to weaken Ukraine, and to use any temporary ceasefire as an opportunity to plan the next invasion. With a single phone call, one insider told Politico last month, Putin appears to have changed President Trump's mind on Ukraine once again. This was Witkoff's achievement. Working with another Kremlin insider, Kirill Dmitriev, he went on last week to propose the 28-point peace plan that could, if carried out, temporarily stop the fighting, but position Russia to invade a weakened Ukraine at a later date. I've written this before, but it cannot be repeated often enough. This war will end only when Russia stops fighting. The Russians need to halt the invasion, recognize the sovereignty of Ukraine, and drop their imperial ambitions. Then, Ukraine can discuss borders, prisoners, and the fate of thousands of kidnapped Ukrainian children. But the only way to persuade Russia to stop fighting is to put pressure on Russia. Not Ukraine, Russia. Wait, what if we sanction India more, though? Or what if we sanction... The Ukrainians have already said they will stop fighting and agree to a ceasefire right now on the current lines of conflict. Yet, Witkoff is seeking to persuade Trump not to put pressure on Russia. We don't really know why. I saw somebody in chat earlier ask, is Russia actually doing bad? Because we keep hearing this all the time. My understanding is they've been doing pretty bad for quite a while. The only thing that's kind of keeping them afloat right now is basically the wartime economy, that they can kind of productively employ a bunch of their citizenry doing war-related stuff and can kind of pump a bunch of fake money into the economy doing that. However, I think they have frozen for a long time the ability to do currency conversions in Russia. And I think now they've had to start selling off their gold reserves. So as soon as they transition out of any kind of wartime economy, I think my understanding is it's going to be very, very, very rough for Russia, that is going to be a rough pathway forward. Witkoff has no previous diplomatic experience, so perhaps he's naive. He spent many years in New York real estate at a time when Russians were spending fortunes on property, so perhaps he feels gratitude. Maybe he's helping Russia win because he has the deepest respect for President Putin, as he told Yushakov, and admires his brutality. Maybe he or others in the White House entourage have business interests tied to Russia, or hope to. In addition to discussing peace, Witkoff has also been, according to the document made public last week, talking with the Russians about American investments in the areas of energy, natural resources, infrastructure, artificial intelligence, data centers, rare earth metal extraction projects, and the Arctic. Whatever the reason, Witkoff is prolonging the conflict. He is not promoting peace. His call to Yushakov was not, as Trump said last night, a normal negotiating tactic. Every time he intervenes, advocating for Putin's positions, he encourages the Russians to think that they can get Trump on their side, pull America away from Europe, break up NATO, and win the war. In other words, every time he intervenes on behalf of the Russians, he contributes to the deaths of Ukrainians, the attacks on infrastructure, the ongoing tragedy that affects millions of people. If this were a normal American administration, he would be fired immediately, but nothing is normal. But nothing about this negotiation or this administration is normal at all. Why do we know Anne Applebaum She did other large articles that we've read before, right? What am I thinking of? She was at that one event, no? I feel like there's a huge article or something. Wait, is this the Atlantic? Is she the one who wrote the article about the signal leaks with Jeffrey Goldberg? And Applebaum is the one who writes exclusively about Democratic backslide and populism. She frequently writes about Orban as well as Ukraine. Huh. I don't remember. Okay. Probably watched interviews. Oh, maybe actually. Maybe we watched a video of her something. Jeff Goldblum. Maybe that was it. The guy's name.
Is it really a diplomatic offensive if there is no salacious leak that comes with it? Well, if so, then good news. We now have a salacious leak. Yes, Bloomberg has gotten a hold of an alleged phone call between a U.S. envoy and a Russian advisor. And the information revealed in it shows just how broken the mindset inside of the White House is. So, on the agenda for today are 3 points. First, I want to go over just the facts of the Witkoff phone call. Then we will try to understand what Witkoff's mindset is here, which is perhaps more mundane than the current narrative suggests. Afterward, I will switch things up and point out that the leak itself is the bigger story. You see, someone else has interjected themselves into the situation, and we need to understand why. That is where the real intrigue is.
Like, I just... Sorry, it's just frustrating. You have a federal government, okay? You have this little office here called the White House office, okay? Which is the office of the presidency. So this is like his chief of staff, maybe helps him communicate with other departments, schedules meetings, whatever else. And then you have these other huge offices that do like really big, important things. You've got your Department of Justice. You've got your Department of State. We call it the State Department. You've got your Department of Defense. You get these huge departments that do things. You have this whole department here. I'm pretty sure, somebody could correct me if I'm wrong, but when you hear like a U.S. ambassador or like all of our foreign diplomatic communicators are all part of the State Department, part of the Department of State. This is your big boy. Let's see, what is the Wikipedia? U.S. State Department. Is an executive department of the U.S. federal government responsible for the country's foreign policy and relations. Equivalent to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of other countries, its primary duties are advising the U.S. president on international relations, administering diplomatic missions, negotiating international treaties and agreements, protecting citizens abroad, and representing the U.S. at the United Nations. When you have this whole ass department to do this, why are you hiring fucking no-name loser, like retarded fucks like Witkoff? Anytime you see like special envoy, why? Why are we using... the reason why is because Trump is a corrupt fucking loser who's just trying to enrich himself personally, and he just trusts his personal gangster fucking friends to go out and do shit because Witkoff has huge mutual financial interest with Trump and his family. But like, that should just... it should immediately come off as like, wait, what? Why are you sending the... Why do you have like a friend from the White House? Because the special envoy means that like it's just a person that Trump appointed. Like it's not like an official person who necessarily has any qualifications or any training or whatever. It's just a guy Trump said, "Hey, I trust this dude. He's going to be my special envoy from the White House." Why not use your fucking State Department? Hello? You have a whole ass department here dedicated with collectively millions of years of experience in these types of foreign affairs. Why are you sending these fucking losers from the White House to do these negotiations? Just cringe.
But let's begin with the U.S.-Russian phone call. On the U.S. side, the main figure is Steve Witkoff. You will remember him as the special envoy who is currently negotiating a ceasefire between Ukraine and Russia. You may especially remember him from earlier this week as the main U.S. entity behind that 28-point non-starter of a peace plan. On the Russian side, the main figure is Yuri Yushakov. Yushakov is the former Russian ambassador to the United States and is currently one of Putin's top foreign policy advisors. I might also describe him as the Russian Forrest Gump. He is in a ton of stock images that I have used over the years, even if he has avoided being a part of the story until now. Anyway, the date was October 14th. Witkoff was shifting away from Gaza war diplomacy to Russia-Ukraine. The two had a roughly 5-minute phone call where, unprompted, Witkoff offered Yushakov some advice on how Putin should approach the situation with Trump. Here is the key part of the transcript. I would have Putin make the call to Trump and just reiterate that you congratulate the president on this achievement, that you supported it, that you respect that he is a man of peace, and you're really glad to have seen it happen. So I would say that. I think from that, it's going to be a really good call. Because, let me tell you what I told the president. I told the president that you, the Russian Federation, has always wanted a peace deal. That's my belief. I told the president I believe that. And I believe the issue is that we have two nations that are having a hard time coming to a compromise. And when we do, we're going to have a peace deal. I'm even thinking that maybe we set out like a 20-point peace proposal, just like we did in Gaza. We put a 20-point Trump plan together. That was 20 points for peace. And I'm thinking maybe we do the same thing with you. Maybe Putin says to President Trump, you know, Steve and Yuri discussed a very similar 20-point plan to peace, and that could be something that we think might move the needle a little bit. We're open to those sorts of things, to explore what it's going to take to get a peace deal done. Now, me to you.
Wow, there's like some Game of Thrones tier shit. Like, unironically, actually, it kind of is Game of Thrones tier. Because, like, Robert Baratheon was too retarded for politics. And so there's a whole bunch of little schemers around him that are trying to advance or further their own interests. Like, unironically, like, it's just so crazy to me.
I know what it's going to take to get a peace deal done. Donetsk and maybe a land swap somewhere. But I'm saying, instead of talking like that, let's talk more hopefully, because I think we're going to get a deal here. And I think, Yuri, the president will give me a lot of space and discretion to get to the deal. And with that, let's switch to understanding what Witkoff's mindset is here. We need to do this because, substantively speaking, it is hard to say whether his advice to Yushakov directly altered the fate of the world in a significant way. But it does speak to a certain naivete in these negotiations, which you can see directly in the discussion, and which certainly is playing a major role in shaping the substantive outcome of a potential deal. You will recall that Witkoff had a successful career in real estate before taking positions in Trump's administrations. Now, it is not uncommon for individuals like that before taking positions in Trump's administrations. Now, it is not uncommon for individuals like that to want to move to government positions so they can leave a lasting and positive mark on the world. Spend enough time in Washington, and you will start to see them everywhere. The problem is that all of their experience is in business. They do not have experience on the government side of things, and those worlds operate in completely separate manners. For the current situation, I am sure that Witkoff has a basic understanding of what is happening. There is a war in Ukraine. War is bad. People die. Economies plunge into dark depths. The rest of the world suffers negative externalities. And thus, a noble goal is to end the war. Witkoff is happy to parachute in, because he thinks that he can contribute. He is an expert negotiator, after all. Why not just apply his expertise to this new domain? The problem is that he does not understand the substantive problems in the region.
I just need that one thing on repeat. Somebody linked me I think I might have tweeted it out a long time ago, that clip of Witkoff talking to Tucker Carlson, where he didn't even know the names of even like Donetsk and Luhansk or whatever. He had no clue. And this was the guy that was going to become our lead negotiator to take point on these issues. Oh my God.
And I am not saying this like everyone working in diplomacy needs to have written a dissertation on the subject to be helpful. Someone like Marco Rubio, for example, has done nothing of the sort. But Rubio has someone at the State Department desk on Russia. I am not saying this like everyone working in diplomacy needs to have written a dissertation on the subject to be helpful. Someone like Marco Rubio, for example, has done nothing of the sort. But Rubio has someone at the State Department desk on Russia and Ukraine who can help him. Moreover, Rubio has been around long enough to understand that he needs that help, so he is not working on an island. The other half of the problem is that Witkoff has spent his entire life operating in a world where externally enforced contracts govern business behavior. And therein lies a problem. You see, the bulk of business contracts are about negotiating services for payments. In contrast, international relations is completely different. You rarely are exchanging money for goods or labor. Rather, both parties are competing for the same good. Failure to reach terms leads to bloody battles, and none of it is externally enforced. In other words, you want someone negotiating who understands less about business and more about the mafia. Don't give me Steve Witkoff. Give me...
Was it this?
Well, first of all, I think the largest issue in that conflict are these so-called four regions: Donbass, Crimea, the names Lugansk, and there's two others. They're Russian-speaking.
Yep.
There have been referendums where...
Like what? This is the guy. This is Witkoff. This is Witkoff. Okay? March 21st. This year. This is our special envoy that is negotiating the Ukraine-Russia. Like, this is him. It's just, like, unbelievable to me.
Michael Corleone or Stringer Bell. And while I am sure that someone has sat down with Witkoff to explain the need to write...
He doesn't know that. It's not even so much that he doesn't know the names of the regions, which is whatever, but he's like literally mixing. It's like saying like, oh, like the most important states. Well, you have Texas, the United States of America, and California. It's like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? Because Donbass is a larger region, right, in which it encompasses Luhansk and Donetsk. It's just like, what?
Felony or Stringer Bell. And while I am sure that someone has sat down with Witkoff to explain the need to write self-enforcing contracts in international relations, that is an entirely separate skill set from what he has done his entire life. His apparent expertise does not apply, unlike, say, someone with Rubio's background. But now Witkoff has a high-ranking member of the Russian government saying nice things about how the war is bad, and that the killing needs to stop. He is even hearing about how Russia is willing to offer concessions and build guarantees into the deal. Maybe someone in the Kremlin even gave Witkoff their word, and Witkoff has seen movies where that sort of thing matters. What Witkoff does not understand is that those concessions are meaningless to someone.
Interesting. Luhansk is the Ukrainian name, while Lugansk is the Russian name. He uses the latter. Sure, because Tucker suggested it, but he's just retarded.
One with substantive knowledge of the situation. And those guarantees are easily broken in a world without external enforcement. But the point is that Witkoff genuinely thinks that he is on the verge of a breakthrough. He thinks that he is the good guy here, and the deal will be good for the United States, Ukraine, the suffering Russian people, the rest of the world.
Wait, why are we assuming that? Did I miss that explanation? Why would we assume that Witkoff is doing that? He's not just a self-interested, greedy fuck who's enriching himself and his family and Trump's family with other little foreign financial adventures.
And, incidentally, Witkoff's historical legacy. Ah, but there is just one problem. Donald Trump. Witkoff knows how capricious the president can be, so he begins to offer advice to his Russian counterpart on how to personally handle the man. There is nothing wrong here from his perspective, because, remember, Witkoff thinks that this breakthrough is a good deal for everyone. The last thing that he wants to see is Russia fumble the ball right at the 1-yard line. My apologies to international viewers for that analogy. So Putin needs to know the best way of extending the offer to Trump, so that Trump will accept this path forward. What Witkoff...
He said that Witkoff thinks he's a good guy, not that Witkoff is a good guy. No, but I'm saying, does Witkoff even think he's a good guy? I don't know.
Does not understand, of course, is that Russia is playing him. Yushakov and anyone else who meets him in Moscow is not his friend. And now he has divulged information that will allow Russia to continue playing the United States government at the highest level. Now, I said earlier that I am doubtful that this had a meaningful effect on what has happened over the last month. Witkoff's advice on how to deal with Trump is the same information that everyone has been saying about Trump for the last 9 years. But it is still not something that Witkoff should be doing.
Yeah, why is the special envoy giving advice to foreign leadership on how to handle the president? I mean, handle him, not like have a productive conversation, but like manipulate him.
He definitely should not be structuring the negotiations in the manner that he has, and that this alleged phone call confirms. Overall, the affair immediately demonstrates two things about the Trump administration. One, it is not a good look when the determinant of a foreign policy is how that policy is getting pitched to the president. What should matter is whether the policy itself is good or not. Two, Witkoff's coaching runs contrary to the conspiracy theory that Trump actively wants Russia to win the war, due to compromise or otherwise. At least from Witkoff's perspective, Trump needs some massaging to follow the Kremlin's recommendation. I guess for some, this will be a perverse silver lining. In any case, as I said at the top, the bigger story is the leak itself. The media and online commentators are spending too much time analyzing the words in the transcript, and not enough time analyzing the fact that there is a transcript for them to analyze in the first place. For such a transcript to reach the public, someone had to have leaked it, and trying to work out the motivation of the leaker is far more interesting than the transcript's direct content. After having spent yesterday discussing the White House's internal power struggle between Rubio and Vance, it is tempting to look at this as an internal hit job. Witkoff is closer to the Vance perspective of just get a deal done. Imagine that someone in Rubio's camp had the audio recording of the phone call for one reason or another. They also recognize that Russia's 28-point plan is terrible, but it is also associated with Witkoff, so they can release the call and undermine his position. It is a reasonable enough theory. However, Bloomberg released the transcript of a second phone call, which has not received nearly as much attention as the first. And this one is different. It is between Yushakov and Kirill Dmitriev, the central figure behind the aforementioned 28-point plan. And side note, I actually think that this is the more interesting of the two transcripts. It is just that everyone is focused on Witkoff and the domestic politics in the United States at the moment. So, fair enough, I am focusing on just that part for today.
Yeah, this one is really weird too. I think I read this off stream though. I'm gonna use the restroom real quick. Hold on.
But bet on us returning to the contents of the Yushakov and Dmitriev phone call in the future. Anyway, the key here is that these two are exclusively Russian figures. So unless you think that it is an incredible coincidence that both transcripts came out at the same time, the only conclusion to draw is that the recordings came from tapped Russian lines. Consequently, the recordings are part of an intelligence operation, not a political operation. To be clear, this does not rule out the possibility that the leak came from the White House. The recordings of some of the phone calls may have been available to a bunch of officials there. But the origin would still be from an intelligence organization. The next question is, which intelligence organization? If it is a foreign intelligence organization, then we can end the speculation that the source of the leak came from the White House. Rather, this is someone, somewhere, also frustrated by the contents of the 28-point plan, and wanting to do everything they can to sink it. Discrediting Witkoff is a great way to do that, and the contents of the phone call are a great way to discredit him. And if that was the intention, then mission accomplished. It is hard to get the general public to still care about what is happening in the war. But this story became headline news in the United States. Those of us paying attention to the situation may have already understood that Witkoff was not doing well with the negotiations. Now you can just show the phone transcripts to someone outside of the bubble, and they will immediately get the problem. Now, it is not certain whether the effects will happen overnight. At least initially, Trump was dismissive of Witkoff having done anything wrong. But there is bipartisan anger about the situation, and so that might force some changes. The optics of Witkoff having negotiated a final resolution to the Russia-Ukraine war while offering friendly advice to a Russian official are not good. Back to the origin of the leak, Yushakov told Russian media that the phone calls took place on WhatsApp, which once again raises questions why these types of conversations are not conducted on traditional secured lines. It is noteworthy that WhatsApp is supposed to run end-to-end encrypted, which either suggests that there is a much bigger security problem with the app, Yushakov's phone has been breached, or he was bugged and likes to have his phone on speaker. However, the conversations were recorded, though. Yushakov's acknowledgement of the situation threw Dmitriev under the bus, as the latter had claimed earlier in the day that the transcripts were fake. Oops. But the unsecured line means that it may have been fairly easy for anyone from any corner of Europe to leak it. Ukraine, Estonia, the United Kingdom, inside or beyond. Nonetheless, we must also consider the possibility that it came from US intelligence. It is worth remembering that, as of a few years ago, it seemed that US signals intelligence had completely broken Russia. On the eve of the invasion, the United States was sounding alarm bells that it was going to happen, and was under the impression that Russia was going to make short work of Ukraine. One way the United States would have such confidence about the first point, and also believe the second point, is if someone was listening to all of Russia's internal communications. Such a person would then know that Russia indeed planned to invade. They would also be hearing the optimistic expectations that Russian officials had for the war, which would have contributed to the US intelligence assessment that Russia would win quickly. Regardless, a leak directly from US intelligence would serve the same purpose as a leak from abroad. There are plenty of people inside of the United States frustrated with Trump's handling of Russia, and this is a good way to force a change. And they mean business too. The leak reveals that someone had the ability to gather that information. You can bet that Russia is taking steps today to seal the leak. Whoever leaked the call would know that doing so would likely burn the source, and so they would not be willing to release it unless they thought it would bring change indeed. Meanwhile, nothing from today is changing the end of this video. There are still 2 excellent books on the war. Check the video description for more information about them. And if you enjoyed today's video, then please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.
Wow.
Take care.
Former President Barack Hussein Obama and his family spent the day serving Thanksgiving meals at the Armed Forces Retirement Home, showing up for veterans in a way this country talks about rarely delivers. More like a cheap photo op. Wearing fucking jeans. Yeah, and I bet it's a tax write-off too. True. Fucking true.